Hi, guys. Good morning. Happy Wednesday. Mike. Guess what day it is? Hump day. How y'all doing? Good morning. Let's see who we got in here. Hey, Rainbow Mom. Oh, you're welcome. And thank you so much for thanking me. That means you guys, knowing that y'all enjoy it makes it all worth it. You know what I mean? Hey, Nadine. Hey, BG, Vanessa A, Lupe, Renee, Stephanie, Punksy, Nana Banana, Jane Doe, Spicy Sugar, Sweet and Sleuthy. Good morning, AJ. How's everybody doing? Alex, Allie, Jamie, Ava, True Crime Crazy. Good morning, everyone. All right. Before we get started, y'all know the drill. Got to hear a word from our sponsor.
And Kai, when you're on Jen Lou's channel, what do you do with the like button?
Smash, smash, smash! Yeah.
All right, smash that like button for you, girl. Or the dislike. Heck, just if you want to see what it does, if if you are curious about what the dislike button does, hit it. I will say this: I know that when you hit the like button, you get like a little. It makes like a little. Doesn't make a. I don't think it makes a noise, but it sort of does like a little flash, like a little like a little confetti thing, I think is what it does. So you get a little more out of the thumbs up button than you do the the thumbs down. Um, so there you go. Today is going to be uh, day 7 of the case against Letecia Samara Stauch. In the death of her 11-year-old stepson, Gannon Stauch. Um, so, yeah. Now, I want you guys to know what is on the agenda. I can't say what's on the agenda for the trial because, that's just like it, you know, I got I got no say in that and I have no insider knowledge. Wish I did, but I don't. Um, but what I can say is that whatever it is, we're going to get through it. Also, because I don't ever know what it is, it's easy when I like do the streams at night, it's easier because like I know what's going to happen. And so I can kind of, warn people and whatnot. But obviously, when it's live, it is what it is. Um, anyway, I want to caution you guys because obviously this trial deals with the very brutal, very heinous unaliving of an 11-year-old boy at the hands of a stepmother, somebody who um, promised when she married Al and when she helped Al get custody of Gannon, she promised that she would love and take care of this child, and she did not, clearly. So that is what we are dealing with. The testimony at times it can be graphic, it can be hard to hear, but what I'd like to say is protect yourself. If excuse me, if you need to step away, if you need to mute, if you need to leave, whatever you need to do to, keep your mental health in check, please do so because like I said, this is tough testimony. It can be very triggering. It's hard to hear. And so I want to remind everybody, like I do every morning, to protect themselves. So, hey, Marshall Dove, good to see you. AS Sunshine, good to see you. Valo updates. Valo has not started yet. They are on the same time zone as Letecia, so they don't start until 11 a.m. also. So I don't have any update from that trial. What I will tell you is that tonight we will be doing our recap over on Alex Erickson's channel. And Allie, do you? Yeah, you do. Will you do me a favor, babe, and drop your channel link por favor, because I want everybody to go over there and subscribe and set reminders if you're not subscribed already. And if you're not subscribed already, what are you waiting for? Allie is the bee's knees. I adore her. I'm going to drop a couple of other links in chat because they're easy and all I have to do is type, it would be helpful if I could spell, is type an exclamation point and then the Nightbot does everything for me. I need to add Allie's channel to the Nightbot. Don't let me forget to do that, Alex. I got to do that because that is on my to-do list and I keep forgetting. Also, the last link I'm dropping is to our wonderful Nadine, also known as Nadine. Spring has sprung, and if you are ready to have some delicious smelling summer and spring scents or just any scents, hit up Nadine. If you follow the link that bot drops, you get a 20% discount. So please definitely do that. I spoke with Nadine this morning and she has got a little sample box for you, girl. And so I can't imagine that I'm not going to love everything in there. I just can't imagine Nadine putting out a product that's not as wonderful as she is. So frankly, I don't need to sample them to know that it's good stuff. Really, I don't. So, but I can't wait for that. So there's that. What else did I have to tell you? Oh, as far as what we're going to cover tonight. Now y'all know that we're going to do the recap of Letecia, and I'm sure we'll talk about Valo too. But I am currently working on clipping stuff from the trial, from Valo's trial for Thursdays, because on Thursdays we're going to do a Lori Vallow recap trial extravaganza, because that's a day that I don't have to stream in the morning for Letecia, and so it's I have time to get stuff together and listen to it and all the things. Also, on Thursdays, Crime Curious goes live and does a recap, as well as she has panel guests, and one of the panel guests is a criminal defense attorney. He is incredibly knowledgeable and incredibly good at explaining the law and all the things in sunspots. I want that. That sounds like it smells delicious. Anyway, he is just incredibly knowledgeable and incredibly good at explaining it in a way that is very easy for everybody to understand, because some of these legal, a lot of them, but particularly with Letecia's case, some of these legal situations, explanations, laws, etc., are difficult concepts to explain and understand. Okay.
Before we start today, I do want to talk a little bit, and Mr. Tellini's here, good, okay. I wanted to make a little bit of a further record on the Medina case and some research that I've done since then. 16.8.109 IRS, section 16-8-109 permits a layperson to give an opinion regarding a mental condition of a defendant. Mr. Tellini has cited People versus Medina, 521 Pacific 2nd, 1247, Colorado, 1974, for the proposition that the individuals which the district attorney's office sometimes requests be permitted to give an opinion regarding sanity. You can go ahead and have a seat if you want. I'll give you a chance to talk. But the defense has objected on the grounds of Medina. and I reviewed the facts and circumstances of that case. And in that case, the trial court, this was back at a time, it was 1974. So it was back at a time when the issues of guilt and sanity were tried in separate phases. And actually, this case apparently had 3 different trials, all on the same facts regarding a robbery. And that trial court allowed a
Good
sheriff
morning, Cheryl. Good to see you.
to
Okay,
testify that
I
he
think
thought
we're
the
good now.
defendant
We kind
was
of understand what
presently sane.
Medina is
And I note
about,
that word, presently
because
sane,
some of,
based
hold on, let
on
me turn him.
a
I just wanna,
uh,
I'll leave the subtitles up, but basically, the way that the court works, the rules, right, during a criminal proceeding is that the only people that are really allowed to give opinions are people that have been qualified as experts, right? So that's why when, like, they brought the medical examiner up, for example, that's why they asked the questions that they asked, and then the last few questions they ask are about, have you testified in a court as an expert witness, and then they ask how many, yada yada yada, because that's usually what the deal is, right? But this case is a little bit different in that, to be quite frank, was Letecia around medical personnel in the days after she reported Gannon as missing? Yes, we learned yesterday that she went for 2 different exams, right? One is a SANE exam, okay, and that stands for SA nurse exam. It's a nurse that is specially trained in performing those types of exams, and that's what I mean, it's not all that they do, but they've had special training. They are trained in collecting the evidence and just all of the things that kind of exam would imply, including actually dealing with the patient, okay, the victim. But there was another part, and that part, the same exam was voluntary, excuse me. The second part of that exam was what's called a suspect exam. And that is where they get a buccal swab from Letecia. They clip her fingernails, take fingernail scrapings, and they talk to her about the actual suspect. That specific exam was not voluntary, okay? And remember, she left before the SANE exam began. She didn't want the SANE exam, and she was like, nope, I'm out, okay? So anyway, yesterday and throughout this trial, there have been people that are lay people who are who've been asked about Letecia's mental state. And there was an officer yesterday who was testifying to it. Specifically, I believe it was the officer that documented their home, that with the video footage, and the defense objected, citing the case of Medina, and the judge is ruling on that right now. And I've talked completely over it, so I have no idea what his ruling was, but let me just go ahead and turn it up and see. Here we go. We're getting
Pacific
to it.
2nd, 626, Colorado Appellate 1997, holding that it is proper to inquire into the mental condition of the defendant both before and after the commission of the act. And in this case, it said the defendant's supervisor expressed his opinion that the defendant was sane as of 9 days after the killing. Even if his testimony as defendant contends also expressed an opinion that the defendant was sane at an earlier date, that opinion referred to defendant's sanity only 3 months before the killing. So as I see this, I think that the foundation that needs to be laid for an opinion to be provided is what were the circumstances of the contact between the witness that is testifying, the circumstances under which
Hey, Amanda. Hey, Tony. Hey, Jan. Good to see you.
contact back those. I also note that in this case, everybody except for the defendant's brother and Mr. Stauch had contact with the defendant either at or near the time of the offense, which is alleged to have been committed in this case. So it seems to me that a person can give testimony regarding whether or not, based on their contacts with them, whether they thought the defendant was sane at the time.
Oh my
They
God,
cannot
what is this doing?
give testimony unless qualified as an expert and a sufficient foundation is laid. They cannot give testimony regarding a diagnosis that may have rendered the defendant insane. But they can testify as to whether or not they saw certain things, whether she was, I think the prosecution has gone down the line of, did she refer to herself by a different name? Did she seem to know what was going on? In addition, with respect to, I think it was Van Nest was the name of the nurse yesterday. She's in a little bit different position. Number one, she was qualified to testify as an expert. True, not in as a psychologist or psychiatrist.
Hey, Spicy, how's your life? Good
But
to see you.
part of her job requires her to obtain consent from a patient in order to perform an examination. And before she can obtain that consent validly, as she testified, she has to make sure that the patient understands the procedure, understands what's going on, understands why she is requesting what it is that she's requesting, and that the patient has the present capacity to be able to understand all of that and make a decision regarding that. So I think her testimony regarding whether or not the defendant was sane was properly admitted. So with that, Mr. Tellini, did you want to make further record, sir?
Just briefly,
Go ahead.
in regards to the same nurse, I think it's different her testifying whether or not she was mentally able to sign the releases and so forth. I think she has a training on that. And with my objection, my objection with her to her that she's saying, I think that has a legal connotation that she's not qualified or does not have the foundation. I understand the court's ruling, but just that's what my objection is too. And I understand there's Medina and there's, in my reading of Medina, there was kind of two issues that the board had with the officers, with the two basically law enforcement people testifying. One was, I understand the court saying
Yes,
the proximity
that's
and
the
time
voice,
their
Jan. It
contact
is.
with
He
them.
does sound like
It also
Sam
seemed
Elliott.
that the
Yes.
at the time was of somewhat of a limited duration. And then I think one of them had like an hour-long interview with them. Tally, and I understand Tally, it's unclear from the case how much contact the supervisor had with the defendant, whether this was, we've been supervising for years or been supervising for, a month. And so we don't necessarily have this that we had in the focus on the time. It's depending on how this case goes out, we'll have some direction
Are
from the
your
Supreme
cars
Court
like
on
yellow,
how to interpret
Amanda?
it, even though it's a 50-year-old case. It doesn't seem that there's a lot of cases subsequent to it explaining what the actual foundation is. And so I think I made the record pretty clear. And again, I don't want, I'm not going to make a long record, in the district attorney when they're asking that question. I'm objecting to. I'm going to have that foundation. And I think that would make a difference, so they understand what the focusing on.
All right. Prosecution, do you have any other record to add?
Yes, people. Good morning, Your Honor. It's the people's position that we agree with the court on the analysis of the cases that he cited. However, the jury is also going to be instructed on what insanity is. They're also going to be instructed, at least in the packet that we provided, that a layperson can weigh
Allie,
it.
no, they haven't yet.
At the end of the day, all of this goes to the weight of the testimony.
This is out of the presence of the jury. This is before trial has gotten started underway. Hang on just a second.
So the instructions of law will cure any concerns that defense has.
Okay. All right, and that was a long way to start the morning. Sorry about that. Anything we need to bring up outside the presence of the jury at this point in time?
No, Your Honor.
Yes. Okay, let's go ahead and bring the jury in.
All right, and just so you guys know, I am going to rearrange the house just a little bit at lunch. So tonight and tomorrow, well, tonight doesn't really count because I usually go on Allie's on my phone because that's way easier if I don't have to share the stream. I'm so sorry, Allie. Let me know if there's anything I can do or anything you need. Okay, babe. I'm sending good healing juju to you and your mama. Okay. But I'm gonna fix it so that I'm closer to the router. One of the, so this house has been updated, and one of the things that they did was they enclosed the back porch. Okay, and I thought about putting my it's called the Florida room. I thought about putting my computer out there, but um, I
Are you gonna
decided
start
against
with it?
it. Hold on.
I'll cover some testimony first, obviously, yeah. And there's
I just-
actually, will be 4 videos during her testimony. The long one will be her interview that she conducted on.
Okay, so I thought about putting, but anyway, the bottom line is that the house here, the walls are all like cinder block walls. Okay, so if you're on the other side of a wall, even though I'm like in the what would be like the dining room area, there is a little bit of there's a wall, and so other blocks the feed and or the Wi-Fi just enough. So sorry, that's like a huge hey Deb and PA, a whole for little to no reason explanation of, but I'll fix it. Is really what I wanted to say, which I could have said.
Court will recall 20 CR 1358 People versus Letecia Stauch. Record should reflect the jury has returned to the courtroom. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Has anything occurred since we were last together that causes any of you to believe you could
Tony.
not continue to serve as a fair and impartial
It's a
juror
hard
in this
loss.
case? If so, please raise your hand. No response. All right. Yesterday, when we took our break, we were still in the midst of the prosecution's case in chief. That's where we will resume today. Mr. Allen, call your next witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. We would call Jessica Bethel.
This is who. Okay, hold on a minute now. They're calling.
It's my understanding
Jessica
Mr. Cook is.
Okay, we've heard this name before. This is who I mistook the 911 or the emergency dispatch from El Paso County. The girl that testified yesterday, Miss Bethel here was, I believe, the lead investigator or an investigator. And I know that she spoke with Al for sure. And they met at Starbucks, and because we heard about that in those recorded phone conversations, those pretext calls. So that's who this is. Okay, let's get it underway.
Doing her cross. I don't know where Mr. Cook went.
Okay.
He's going to be right back. I will stand in for him.
We're good to go then. Okay. All right. Ms. Bethel, if you would raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony about giving this man will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Go ahead and have a seat in the witness stand. Please watch your step as you step to the stand.
Just FYI, my eye is already twitching because from this witness, it's
May I
not
proceed, Your
her
Honor?
fault.
You may go ahead.
We're just going to.
Good morning, ma'am. Will you please introduce yourself to our jury and then spell your first and last name for the record?
Good morning. My name is Jessica Bethel, Jessica Bethel.
Ms. Bethel,
Let me.
what do you do currently for work?
Let me fix.
I'm currently a stay-at-home mom.
Okay. Did you at one point work for the El Paso County Sheriff's Office?
I did.
What was your last
Ruby.
assignment
Good
with
to
the El
see you,
Paso County
babe.
Sheriff's Office?
I was last assigned to the investigations division.
What kind of education and training allowed you to do that job?
I went through
Alyssa,
a
good to
post
see
academy
you.
to become a sworn peace
Is it
officer for the state of
Alyssa or
Colorado.
Elisa?
And from there, I received on-the-job training and advanced my career into the investigations division.
Are you still a post-certified peace officer in the state of Colorado?
Yes, I am.
How long were you in law enforcement previously?
Total, including my time served as a civilian, would be 14 years.
I want to specifically get us oriented to January 2020 timeframe. Were you working at the El Paso County Sheriff's Office at that time?
Yes, I was.
What was your specific job assignment then?
I was assigned to the
Lisa.
majors
Okay, thank
investigation
you.
team, which
Hey,
consisted
Daniel,
of
good morning.
detectives that investigated homicides and robberies, assaults against people.
How many different homicide cases did you get involved with investigating, if you have a round figure?
Oh boy, I would say more than 100.
At some point, did you become involved in the Gannon Stauch disappearance case?
Yes, I did.
What was your role in that case?
I was assigned as the lead detective.
What does a lead detective do?
The lead detective coordinates the investigation mainly on a typical case and receives the leads and the information that's being collected by the other detectives. And then from there, analyzes that information and disseminates further leads, eventually leading up to either an arrest of the person or, looking at potentially a different suspect.
Here comes Allie with deets. Thank you.
You said in
Allie.
the typical case, was there something about this case that made it different from those, what you would classify as a typical homicide investigation?
Yes.
What was different about it just from the initial standpoint?
Initially, this case was receiving a lot of attention in social media, and the case quickly grew to a multi-agency case.
Do you remember off the top of your head how many different agencies got involved with this investigation?
I would say close to 10, if not more.
Did that include both state Colorado agencies like the El Paso County Sheriff's Office and other agencies, also federal agencies?
Yes.
Did it also include agencies in other states?
Yes, it did.
Would that include South Carolina and Florida?
Yes.
Me too, Allie. I feel uneasy for some reason. I have no idea.
Because of the scope of this investigation, did
Oh,
that
you're
change
welcome.
the role of a lead investigator from the sheriff's office?
I'm glad you
to some
liked
degree?
it. Nana,
It did, yes.
or Cheryl.
In what
sorry,
way
I
did
looked
that
up at
happen?
Nana's comment
Because
too.
there was so much information coming in, I assumed more of an investigative role as opposed to sitting back and collecting all of the leads at once.
Would you classify the investigation as almost an all hands on deck in effort?
Absolutely.
Speaking about just generally how the course of an investigation might go in a typical case, what are things that can influence the direction a case will develop into?
Things that can influence it, I would say whether or not we have witnesses available, whether or not there's video, whether or not the suspect is willing to do an interview with us. Those types of things can influence it.
What about the potential absence or existence of physical evidence?
Absolutely, that can influence it as well heavily.
You mentioned witnesses, willingness to give statements or lack of willingness to give statements. Can that also influence the course of an investigation?
Yes, it can.
What about misleading statements from witnesses? Can that have an influence on an investigation?
Yes, it can.
Those things that I just referenced, did some of those things occur in this case?
Yes, they did.
Did
Good
some of
morning,
those things
everyone.
have a negative influence on
Coming
the
in.
investigation?
Thanks
Yes,
for
they
being
did.
here.
Can you, in a general, tell us what some of those things might have been that caused a negative investigation?
This ultimately ended up being a homicide investigation, and we did not have a standard homicide scene where there would be, evidence of the homicide and a body. That was not present in this case. Also, the suspect providing alternate leads, multiple stories of what happened, also influenced how we proceeded with the case.
When you've got that dynamic going, where there's different stories being presented to the investigative team, do you have to chase those down to see if there's any validity?
Should always chase those down. Absolutely.
Okay, and why is that?
It's just as important whenever you're trying to prove that someone did something as to prove that they didn't do something. We need to act without bias. And so if they present something to us, we need to take that just as it's a credible piece of information and vet it before we determine that it's not a good lead.
And I got to pause for a little commentary here. I'd like to say this. It's what she said is very, very important, and it's very, very true. And the leads that Letecia provided, they had to be investigated. I know that I've heard some musings, and people have been not in my chat or anything, not you guys, but just around people being critical of law enforcement in this case, and that they allowed themselves to be sort of led around by Letecia, right? But the truth of the matter is, this wasn't a choice of theirs. As outlandish as all of her stories sounded, they had to be investigated to make sure that there wasn't any truth to them. Do you see what I'm saying? Because had they ignored those, right, and said just on the outset from just hearing the story, right, the investigators said, she's a lying liar mouth who tells lies. We're going to now this convinces us even more that she's done something, and they only focused on investigating her. There would have been equal and correct annoyance with law enforcement. Okay. They had to check each and every lead and run it down. They had to. That they were doing their job. The person to be upset with here is not law enforcement, in my opinion, but the lying liar mouth who told lies. She's the one that had them running all over Hell's Half Acre chasing leads down. Now, I will say, I'm still puzzled how she was able to smuggle that suitcase out of that home with nobody being the wiser, especially because the only thing I can think of is that suitcase was out of that house before she called the cops.
When did you first become aware of this particular investigation? Do you remember?
January 28th.
So the day after Gannon was reported missing by a 911 call and a non-emergency call
That's correct.
by the defendant in this case?
Yes.
Because the initial call was for a missing or runaway child, did that cause a investigative impetus or momentum to try to find this child that potentially had run away?
Initially, patrol handled the case just as a missing or runaway child. But then later, when it was brought to our investigations, our attention, we realized that he was 11 years old. The weather, his medical conditions, it became more important to find him soon.
Were there lots of searches conducted in the area sort of surrounding the victim's home?
Yes, I was aware of many searches being done by neighbors, workers of Albert's, and also law enforcement.
Thank you, Tony.
Did that include vast areas
coming
of
up with
field
some
and even reservoirs and that kind of thing?
Yes.
Did any of those searches in the immediate area turn up any clues that would lead to any investigative leads that you could pursue?
No.
You said that you first learned of this case on January 28, 2020. Did you actually reach out to the person that ended up being the defendant in this case on that particular day?
Yes, I did.
Why did you make that effort?
I wanted to contact Letecia to speak with her more about Gannon's disappearance and to meet with her preferably at her home so that I could look at his room to look for clues as to
All
where he
right,
may have
Vanessa,
gone, if he had
thanks
left
for
anything
popping in,
behind, a
babe.
note,
Have a good
or
rest of
any
your
behavioral
day.
changes.
Were you able to talk to Letecia?
I was, yes.
How would you describe her demeanor on that phone call? Was she willing to talk to you?
I would say she was hesitant at best.
Do you remember how you described it in your reports?
I don't remember verbatim, no.
Okay. Do you remember if you described it as being apprehensive, that she was apprehensive to talk to you?
Yes.
Did you specifically ask her at that particular time if you could go to the house and talk to her about what had happened?
Yes, I did.
Did she agree to allow you to come to the house?
No, she did not.
Did she give a reason?
Yes, she told me that there were several young children in the home and she didn't want them overhearing what we were talking about.
What did you do then, as far as trying to get her to sit down with you and give some sort of a statement to you?
I offered to meet her at a place of her choice. She ultimately asked that I meet her at Starbucks located on Fountain Mesa.
Prior to this particular phone call, had you ever met Letecia Stauch?
No,
Had you ever talked to her on the phone?
no,
Did you, in fact, then meet up with her at the Starbucks on Fountain Mesa?
I did.
Who was present for that interaction?
Letecia was present, Albert was present, my partner, Detective Mark Riley, was present, myself, and Jason Hess, Sergeant Jason Hess, also was present during part of it.
Okay. Did you actually do this contact with her and Mr. Stauch inside the Starbucks business?
Yes,
So was there a recording made of this particular interaction?
yes, there was.
Can you hear sort of the normal chatter that you would hear in a Starbucks on the recording of this?
Yes, you can.
Can we approach with People's Exhibit 335?
You may.
Ms. Bethel, do you recognize People's Exhibit 335?
Yes, I do.
How do you recognize it?
It is a disc containing a field interview with Mr. Stout and Letecia.
Is this the recording of what we were just talking about, your interaction with them at Starbucks on Fountain Mesa on January 28, 2020?
It is.
Have you had a chance to listen to that recording?
I did.
Is it a fair and accurate representation of that interview?
Yes.
At this time, I'd move forward admission of People's 335 and request permission to publish.
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, exhibit 335 will be admitted. Go ahead.
And before we publish it, the person that you had contact with that identified as Letecia Stauch, did that person have the same voice as the person you talked to on the phone just a little bit prior to this actual meeting?
Yes, she did.
Do you see that same person in the courtroom today?
Yes, I do.
Will you please identify her for the jury, pointing out where she is sitting and what she's wearing?
She's sitting at the defendant's table. She has a pink shirt on.
With her head resting on her hand?
Yes.
I'd ask that the record reflect she has identified the defendant.
The record will so reflect. Go ahead.
And then permission to publish People's 335, and it is 55 minutes and 54 seconds, Your Honor.
And is this audio only?
Yes, this is audio only.
All right, go ahead.
I wasn't sure what you would be in. Yeah. So, do you guys just want to stand out here, or do you want to go in the? We can go in. I'm Detective Bethel, by the way. This is my partner, Detective Riley. Sorry, I'm so little. I was Yes. And I felt that. I guarantee you, okay, if I put down there, so. So we were just notified about what's going on again, and so I just want to start from the beginning to make sure that I have accurate information. So your name, ma'am?
It's Tecia. Same last name, so. AUCH.
Your date of birth?
8483.
Give me the address, because I don't think that street name's right.
It's just Mandan, MANDAN.
How long have you guys lived there?
A little over a year.
And your name, sir?
First name's Eugene. Last name.
Your date of birth?
82.
All right. Where do you live, ma'am?
The beginning.
Which school?
I don't know. I don't know if I think it's for the other college.
And you, sir?
I'm in SGR. Full time.
So tell me a little bit about Gannon. How old is he? 11?
Let's help it out. That's, that's not true.
Right. That's what I was told too.
So we were like, everything we do based on the mindset on it, based on that.
But someone actually texted me.
Yeah, second last night, he texted me. I was in Oklahoma at Fort Sill for training. And I had to come home emergency. But he texted me last night. He's like, yeah, we saw him on the camera, came in, did not look distressed. Lost some chips, left on foot. Maybe I can show you the text if you can see it.
Sure. When did you go to Fort Sill?
When? Yeah, I left Sunday. I've been there one day.
What school does Gannon attend?
Grand Mountain.
Grand Mountain?
Yeah, it's in our neighborhood.
I was gonna say, I think that's a new one that opened up together. Tell me about his friends.
Most of his friends are right there, like right around our house. Like he has boys that live right at the end of the street. He plays with them most of the time. Braden is his name.
What's Braden's last name?
I mean, I got all his parents' phone numbers and we talk to him all the time. But
If I could get their number too.
yeah,
So Braden, I don't.
Braden, so they're like two families that live in the same house, but they're like related. So
Well, Connor, I know, but Connor is the Webster.
there's a Connor, but he goes to the web show actually, like because they rezoned him because of the new school or whatever. So he went there last year.
Connor's mom has been with us the past day or two.
She works at
Yeah, she works at Webster.
So this is one of them.
Ian.
So like I said, I think it's two brothers and their families live in the same house. And they got like 3 or 4 kids.
But that's associated to Braden.
I think that's Braden's uncle. I got Braden's mom in there too. But you can get to him through this guy. This is him.
When was the last time that Gannon went to school?
It would have been last week.
Yeah, so Gannon went to school on Friday.
Friday, yeah.
When does he return home from school?
I'm like 3:15-ish.
Yeah, 3:05 to 3:15.
Yeah.
They changed the new time of the school. Like it used to be like 3:30 to 3:45. Because of like snow days over there.
So Braden and Connor, are those the only two friends?
I mean,
He know, I don't even know the parents.
I'm looking.
He wants to meet them all on top of home, so he has all their numbers. I don't even, like, I know them from coming to our house. Like, I don't have a block down.
There's one more. This so Lily is my daughter's friend, but she has a brother that's Gannon's age as well, and they kind of live like right behind us.
What is the brother's name?
Reese.
Reese.
I do know that because I just name the sale all the time.
So they live on the next street over, and sometimes they'll ride their bikes over there, but they mainly play with these boys, these Braden. And then right next door to them is a group of girls that my daughter plays with. I just know their mom.
Campbell.
Canberra is the mom, and that's her number right there. Either one.
Oh, yeah.
CAMBRA, I think.
So that's the mom of.
My daughter's friends. It's like 3 girls.
Well, one of them is the age of Gannon.
Yeah, I mean, they're all, these kids are like they range from like, first grade, like,
These are neighbors.
yeah, basically they live 2 or 3 houses down, but they live next door to one another.
Okay.
And that's about it. That's all they really play with. Now, he's got some other friends at school, but he never really goes to their house and stuff like that. The point of concern was this right here. This is where the concern started. I'll show you the text message he sent me. Okay, so this was, he stayed at home yesterday because his stomach was hurting.
So we got hiking on Sunday.
Okay, so yeah,
I was told that part.
Yes, sir.
She's about the stump. And we went to the Garden of Gods and we get probably about, I don't know, a few miles out, a few feet in. He's like, well, my stomach hurts. I'm like, it's probably because you haven't been, like exercising all the He's had this problem for a while because he gets like really bad constipation. And so his stomach was hurting all through the night. And you were either on the plane,
yeah,
we were like texting back and forth. And I was like, should I just stay at home? Because I didn't, there was like, oh, this stuff on that. Part of it. And so I was like, I didn't want to go to school like that. Scared to go to like multiple under there. Okay.
and he gets really down and embarrassed about
So
that too.
yeah, so he gets embarrassed. He's very like emotional about that type of thing because he's sad about it. So he stayed at home. Well, we went about, we went and got good dogs, some new outfits. We got 2 new puppies. So we went and got a dog some outfits at the pet code. I think it's on Coles, Nevada exit maybe. I don't know the numbers, but I know it's Nevada and the Coles right there. And so we went to Nevada with the Coles. He sat in the car because he wasn't feeling well, and I wanted to make sure he was gonna eat and I made him some eating light and stuff like that. I think that's about it. Came back, whatever. So when we came back, he was texting you, and that's where you wanted.
Yeah, so he had spilled a candle in the house, whatever. He was, because he felt like he was smelling bad because of his accident. He lit a candle and was playing. He spilled the candle, so he got really upset because he made a mess with that too. So
he burned a big.
So then this is where he starts texting me. I'm in Oklahoma, so he told me my tummy hurts, blah blah blah. And I'm just trying to stay positive, So he's worried about teacher said he was really worried about getting in trouble not for the accident, but for the candle thing. So then right here, I was like, we'll talk later. And he's like, do we have bath salts? And I'm like, Neely, I know what that's all about. So I'm like, what, what's going on? Where did you even hear this from? So I immediately texted her. I was like, we have a little bit for baths and stuff. So I was like, put all the stuff we use for our baths and put it away somewhere so you can't access it until we find out what's going on. And then I asked him for what.
Yeah. So with that, the day before, when he tells me this, I said, he came in and asked me, did we have any the day before, which was the Sunday. And so I gave him a bath bomb because I really didn't know bath salt. I didn't know. So I gave him a bath bomb. It took a bath. I still was clueless to the bath salts until we looked it up.
So then he tells me this. My friend said if I got some, we could play this weekend. And I told him no, absolutely not. So we were still talking at this point. And then he was like, he went on a little bit, but he's like, his brother has a car for a sleepover if I can come over Friday. That's kind of the end of it, that we need some more days. So that's where we get the idea that he may have left. Well, no, we told her he was going to play. So
Which he does.
which they do all the time. They walk out and they're like, where you going? Be back at such and such time. And they're always, maybe he's 10 minutes late, but nothing like this. So I don't even know who this friend is. That's the biggest concern on the surface. That's why I said I always like to walk over there and meet, hey, this is blah, blah, blah.
We don't know anyone with a car.
Yeah. With somebody finding that has an older sibling that drives, none of his friends that we're aware of. So from these other people, we got some names of other kids on the bus that he plays with, and so we kind of hunted them down last night. What they did is while I was on the way back, found one kid named Jimmy, but he wasn't. They had seen him, and then they were like, "Well, this kid has an older brother or whatever." And they went to their house, and they're like, "No, we haven't seen him." So that's when it really
gave us information that Jimmy had an older sibling. So of course we all went,
we think it was
around.
putting people together.
So then Jimmy's dad answers the door and they show the picture to Jimmy, Connor's mom, with the one with my daughter. She's a 17-year-old. So he's like, yeah, I think I know that kid. And then they were like, do you know Jimmy? And the guy was like, yeah, that's my son. And then he was like, I'm sorry to tell you guys, but we don't have a older child that drives. I don't know if she said Jimmy was the oldest, but whatever it was, Dad said.
Okay, I have to pause for a little commentary here. Here's the deal. I don't know how anybody doesn't know what bath salts are. And the reason I say that is because when they first came on the scene, remember there was that whole situation, and I believe that it was here in Florida, where that guy had ingested bath salts and was trying to cannibalize another human being. And so, yeah, I really don't believe that that Letecia doesn't know bath salts. I mean, come on, this is ridiculous. Letecia, get your shit together, ma'am. All right, here we go.
There's no older boy that was in their home. But it was like he said, pieces were coming in from different kids trying to give us information and names.
See, the big deal here is it's not like, and I know kids, they get influences, but
Hey,
he's a homebody. I mean, I'm like the same way. He'd rather be at home playing his little Nintendo or watching cartoons.
Well,
Sometimes I gotta make him go ride his bike, that kind of thing. So he's not one just to walk off. And he's had times where he's been a little embarrassed about his stomach problem, but never anything to drive.
okay, and I have to say one more thing, because if I don't, it's going to drive me bonkers. I don't understand how this became a runaway situation, and this is why I say that. Why I don't know what Letecia was thinking, okay? Because he asked to leave, right? He asked to go and play with one of his friends. And what you had was a situation of him not returning home on time. Now, see, to me, that is not, as a parent, and believe me, when we go on the 20-minute break, you guys, I'll tell you my own story where I had to call 911 about one of my kiddos. So, I won't say, I'll spare you for now. But anyway, I just don't understand why this was even at all classified by Letecia as a potential runaway. This makes no sense to me, and it's been bothering me the whole time ever since I heard it on that 911 call. Maybe, Allie, I don't know, but I just remember the bath salts, and you used to be able to get them at like the smoke shops, kind of like the other fake stuff. Yeah. So here we go. We're gonna keep playing. I'll have to look into the YouTube situation.
I've hit something like that. So that's why I had to come to grips with. I'm pretty convinced that something bad. We kind of into ourselves kind of broke it down to we either feel like he's at a house where some of this good stuff is going on. They convince that they can
Has anybody called the school yet?
Yeah.
So the principal called this morning.
I emailed the teacher first. And I'm like, can you give us any information? I knew she couldn't, but I wanted to start that dialogue. So can you give us any information about Anna's friends or anything? She's like, no, but I can go to the administration. So, principal, somebody reached out last night. Her principal said he waited up the front just to make sure he didn't come to school today, side or whatever. And an announcement is that and
They also sent an email on the do not reply. The district just came to us where the principal said he sent it out to all families.
okay, so they're doing their
So I just came to us with that.
What kind of social media accounts does it have?
I don't even let him get online with these things. I have
Does he have a phone? Obviously, he has a phone
it's in
that's
the
texting.
truck, but like we check through that. I check the phone logs on my TT account, and we haven't texted anybody other than the one friend.
So we have the capability to do a download on the phone and potentially see things that are deleted that you and I wouldn't see immediately. It would be like in cache data or whatever. Would you be willing to let us look at his phone,
Yeah.
do that download, see, just to make sure that he didn't delete something that we need to look at? So it's an iPhone?
Yes.
Let me just say this real quick. I bet you when the officer or the detective said this about the phone and downloading stuff and looking at potentially deleted items, yada yada. Geez, Aloo, she's ruined it. Blah 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 blah. I caught myself this time. That Letecia was panicking. I bet that hamster on that wheel in her brain was sore after this. All right, here we go.
He's going for games with his buddy or something.
What's the serial number on that?
That's going to be right there if I'm not too. Everything should be in here. I think that's it.
So other than the stomach issues, does he have any other ailments, disabilities?
He just he takes ADHD medicine, but that's never really caused him a problem. He makes straight A's. He actually got his first B this past time. So
That's his phone there.
yeah, that's 292.
2922.
Yes. Yeah, let me give you this phone number. And I don't know if you have to subpoena the information or not, but so my friend looked this up and found it said that police can subpoena connection location for the switch, and that's the phone. And he found something on the internet that said that, so it's at least worth looking into, I think.
Yeah, we've got a database of stuff that we work with, so we'll be able to find a contact if that service exists with that.
Can I show you something?
Yeah.
I mean, I know you'll find it out, but I was just not sure about the issue.
Oh, yeah, he had looked up only one, something that was.
Well, where's the history?
Are there any other children in the home?
Oh, yes.
I'm sorry, I don't know.
You turned a 17-year-old.
All y'all are
biologically
beautiful.
both of yours?
I
No,
adore
so
all
I-
of y'all. No, I
and
didn't.
my 8-year-old daughter. And their mom is on the way now, so she's gonna be here tonight. But,
What's his sister's name?
Lena, Laina.
What's her date of birth?
12212.
And you have custody of both of them?
I do.
What is
Well,
mom's name?
technically shared, but they live with me and go to their seniors this summer. So we call it shared, but I really have this. The mom's name is Landon, Landens.
Do you know her last name?
Hyatt, Hiott.
Date of birth?
411.
4/11/85. And we have one other child in the home as well, her biological daughter.
Okay, what is mom's phone number?
Phone number?
Yep. And you said it's your biological daughter?
Harley. H-U-N-T. No, Harley.
Oh, Harley.
Yes, ma'am.
What's Harley's date of birth?
5102.
You mentioned younger children in the home.
Well, mainly if I was meeting Lena because here's what happened. One of the people called this morning and she was sleeping and heard a lot of conversations and she's been like just crying and things like that. So, yeah, and she already has like a preconditioner with anxiety, but she gets very,
It's worked out.
worked up easily. So she's having a hard time because like the National Guard came earlier, so many people been coming, so it's a lot.
Like you said, I guess the search history had been deleted, but like that one right there, Monday afternoon. I don't know, I don't see a time on that, so I don't know when that happened, but I'm sure that can be found. But it says, can my parent find myself in a bizarre? So I don't know if he intended to take the phone.
What is this? Where does FGTV live?
That's so this FGTV, some little kids show that they watch, what the kids watch, and they got
Like famous YouTubers.
it's like a YouTube thing that's going on. So but he left the phone.
Is he talking to any girl?
Okay, Allie, I know this is going to sound crazy, but I promise you it works. Put Vicks Vapor Rub on the bottom of his feet when he goes to bed, cover his feet with socks, send him memes, and it should help.
The last day, that's me talking to his mom. Because I don't give her my.
To see if you get any searchable stuff on the maps. So he searched for 10315 declaration. I've got you guys.
Declaration is probably somewhere.
It's all.
Yeah, it's probably.
Old Glory.
Yeah, it's probably something that we were. It could have been things that people.
What date was that? 10315 Declaration Drive.
When was that part?
It says Classic Homes, Wilson Ranch. Yeah, I mean, that's our neighborhood.
Right.
Declaration.
Well, I didn't look for any declaration.
Bethany was on campsite, so.
Yeah.
But we were driving around over there and somebody said that they saw a camera. That was on the Old Glory address on there.
I didn't
Wow,
even
I didn't think about
actually
looking at
realize
that.
I said that, Tony. That I've always.
How does it make any sense? Because he went the other direction.
Hold on a second.
I feel like that's.
I've always said that. I grew up. My mom and dad said it to me. My nana is the one that started memes, and she said it to us. So my dad and my mom said it to us, and I say it to my kids. I said it to my nephews, and my sister says it to her boys. We've always said it. Yep, memes means
You just
nine
put
nights.
Orson Ranch, so the random address for that office. I don't know that declaration. Sometime.
Bring up this to see what's for hours. I'll send the car down the back. We'll figure out what that is. I know it's right there, goes off to the south. The friend right by their house. But it's kind of farther towards the school than our house, toward that backside.
Yeah.
We're up right at the front. That first section.
What model iPhone is that?
That's like a 6.
Research. They're over here.
So this here is it's a computer for the but we're gonna use cell phone. So basically, what the cell phone waivers would say, is that we're gonna dump this phone with your permission. You have the constitutional right not to have it searched without having a warrant. I think that at this point, in time, it would be good started.
Yes.
But everything that's on that, to include all deleted items, just a copy of everything. And then we'll get it back to you and we'll analyze the copy that we take from it. Again, it's, you're providing consent. I can't force you into doing it. And I would have to obtain a search warrant, if you didn't consent.
28.
I believe, so, yep. So we will, and start searching for that, searching through that. Where might he go other than, does he have any other relatives in the area?
No,
No relatives in the area?
it's just us and those few friends who say. Yeah, I don't know. I don't recognize it.
We're listening to the car over there.
Okay.
Figure out why it's in the car. Did you ask about the bath salt traffic address?
Yeah, so we don't know that, just the friend, we don't know what it is.
I can show you all it said.
That's it.
He said to me was bath salts, like, do we have any?
So you wanted to take him to a friend's house?
Yeah, and I looked, they all did it wrong. Huh?
I was trying to think like something.
What did it do for you?
Oh, thank you.
Then I got another one for you.
Thank you so much.
I think this is.
So you can just read through it. It starts, I was in Oklahoma, it starts right there, so you can just scroll down. So you get this details we did with him. He's been having some stomach problems, so that's when he talks about his tummy. He had a little accident, dropped a candle, so he's upset about that. But then you can read what's part about the bath salts. And in context with that, at the same time, as soon as you said bath salts, I got on the phone with her and was like, hey, yeah, because we do have someone take it more, legit take baths with and stuff.
Yeah.
That's like, get it all, hide it, put it away.
And I told him that
Figure out what's going on.
you did ask me the day before,
Yeah.
and I gave him, because I didn't.
So like, see, it's very vague. There's no like friend's name or where they live or anything. Because the intent was to have that conversation face to face or whatever.
Okay, so if I'm understanding this timeline correctly, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like this bath salts conversation took place, the texts between the 27th of January and the verbal conversation between Gannon and Letecia was the 26th. Is that how you guys are getting it?
Probably look to what time we set the alarm.
Okay.
That was Sunday, right?
No, Sunday was, yeah, hiking Sunday.
Didn't go to Petco's?
No, we went,
Petco Monday?
yeah, because it was just me again and again on the car, because it's coming.
Okay.
Because Lena went with us hiking, but Lena was. What's that date? So.
Tell you what, yesterday was 27. So we're at that address. You say you're sending a car to the house?
The only thing I can think of though if that was the person that we took the jingle basket to.
How would you use this phone?
Anna was with me. So if it ends up being the person who, like the neighborhoods did the jingle basket, that's the only thing, because it was somebody in Orson Ranch. So you go like with people, but that would have been December. So I don't know what they got. I don't know if that's their address. I'm just saying that.
Any clothes missing?
I mean, like I said, like literally from what she explained, everything was consistent with, I'm going to play with my friends. So it was like, whatever clothes he had on, we make him put his play shoes on. We got nice shoes and play shoes. He had his play shoes on. So, I mean, it was pretty obvious that his intent was like, I'm not leaving, but I'm going to play. And I'm, doing everything I'm supposed to do. And she let him take his switch. I mean, don't really ever do that. So it's in.
When was the last time he talked to his mom, his biological mother?
Or something. He had been talking to, he talks to her, right? They talk almost, I'd say 5 times a week. I know he talked to her Friday and Saturday because my mom was here and, he was on the phone first. So.
Sorry, there's just a lot of 27 numbers trying to spell.
Bio mom's coming in from.
Yeah, she's on the way now. I think she just got on the plane, South Carolina. Yeah, that's where we're all originally from, South Carolina, but I'm right here for the military. So, I mean, not to add any confusion to it, but like the mom's married to a guy that's got a lot of trouble with the law. That was one of my first instincts when it was like when the come and go thing came up, and they said that he walked in all nonchalant, like everything was normal. It was like the dude was here or something, because he's got a lot of trouble like that in his background. So I was like, it came to my mind. It's worth putting down. But I mean, I don't know if it's anything legit.
Does she have your address?
Yeah,
Hey, Corey.
she does.
Hey, listen, you guys
I know
chat.
we just, it says I just.
Listen, you chat about whatever you want to chat about. You know, I ain't strict in my chats as long as it's, we're not doxing anybody or acting a straight fool, It's cool with me. This is hard to hear, and sometimes you need a little bit of a
That's when you
distraction.
got home?
Hang on, I'm still scrolling up. I just didn't want to have to go back. And then, let's see, it says basement motion. I might have didn't set, I had to set the alarm. It's not showing I set the alarm, but it says, living room and basement motion at 10:10 a.m. Oh, here it is, Orange by Master right here. So Monday, January 27th, I alarmed the alarm at 10:05 a.m.
10:05, you guys went?
That's what time I armed it, so I'm assuming, yeah, because we had motion that morning because we were there.
Which alarm do you use?
ADT.
I specifically didn't apply.
What did you participate in? Bingo?
But things were like they would like a group on Facebook or wherever with like 17 women and 10 families, just set a dollar amount. It's like, okay, you bring a basket of stuff to their house.
Okay.
So it's like a secret Santa, I don't know, something like that, but for the neighborhood.
I could either look on the lady who sends things. You want to see if that's the address she said?
It doesn't matter. We're going to send a card
Okay.
anyway.
Okay.
So we'll make contact,
Okay.
verify. It's weird to hear how that.
Yeah.
Does that, I mean, if that's like recent, or I know we
I
don't.
don't know. Yeah, it's the only address on there.
Right.
Has he ever left before?
So, I mean, I know your parent says this, but he's a pretty straight up kid. And, if ever he does wrong, like the only thing he ever sneaks is, playing his games if he's grounded or something. That's it. I mean, other than that, he does his chores. I mean, he makes straight A's, kind-hearted. I mean, he busts with his sister. But
And to that, I know you're okay with saying that the counselor has said every.
yes. So I because of his mom and the situation with that her husband, like she basically has lost everything. Doesn't have a place to live, gone through a lot, and on drugs and stuff. So I got custody of them. It's been pretty hard, for any kid. And I went through some of that as a kid, so I was like, let's get them counseling, just to be certain there's nothing that they're dealing with, and they know it's okay to talk. So they go like once a month on base. And I always ask at the end of the session, hey, is there anything alarming that you brought up or anything I need to know about? And
Did y'all even hear that? Did I not mute?
just open and, he's going through
Did I
normal
not
emotions
unmute?
of,
I hope y'all heard that.
love
Anyway,
mom and love
bottom
dad
line is,
and stuff like
what I
that.
think is
But nothing,
Letecia has,
hey, you need to.
Does
from
he go
the
on
outs,
Carson?
from outwards, it
And
looks like
what's
she's
the
offering
counselor's
to
name?
help, right? The
I have her
investigation,
number.
speed
That would be
things up,
great.
help things along, put people in contact with other people. But I actually think that what she's doing is interjecting herself in a way where she can sort of feel out the people who the officers or the detectives want to speak to.
This is it right here.
Okay,
And
now I'm gonna mute for
refuse-
real.
Unless he's done it behind my back. I know he gets on YouTube and watches some stuff, but I've absolutely said no online gaming. So unless he's got on there and figured it out, then
So not necessarily communicating through the game, you have apps and stuff. If you can talk back and forth with your friend
maybe
while you game and stuff, and he likes to use those instead of text messages. And you could say, you for different apps, I was looking to see if I recognize any of the hardware games. Or something you did with before.
Yeah.
So I don't recognize any of them on there from what you,
Yeah, and usually, once again, he innocent by telling us, he's never how we learned YouTube and stuff.
I see the way he was talking to you in our text messages about dealing in trouble if he still plays
Right.
and stuff like that.
But I did block him from the Wi-Fi because he was using TikTok out of something about some choking game.
Yes, I noticed and I, paying attention to, what the news and all that, I banned them from TikTok and said remove it from all your devices because of the bad. I'm sure there's good stuff, but that stuff that encourages those challenges or whatever
Yeah,
going
when
on.
was that?
Within the past week.
Yeah, I took him off, but like he was on the Xfinity block.
Yeah.
And shut it
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah, you did
So
that.
I did that because I look over and it was some people were choking and quarters. I don't know what it was like. I guess to get high,
This is counseling.
like you choke yourself or something. And so he was laughing, but I think he saw it as just people being silly. I don't think he was realizing like how serious that was. So I told him the story of which was a true story. He was playing a quarter game and it went down his throat and he had to be rushed to the hospital, blah, 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 blah. And so then he kind of looked at me like, like it was serious. So I didn't think anything else about it. Didn't think he was going to do anything like that. I just thought he thought it was funny.
To see the kid is so like tenderhearted, like his. I know kids are obviously influenced, we know that, but he would never like smoking or anything like that because his mom's got into that stuff since we split up, and stepdad as well, and his grandma, his mom's mom smokes real bad, and so he knows that causes bad stuff.
But then the thing was in his book bag.
What was in his book bag?
So she found after the bath salts, I said, go check his book bag just in case. Initially, she found nothing, but then after he disappeared, they went back and.
No, I didn't let her go look at it initially.
Oh, I thought you looked.
No, you asked me to go look at it, but I think I was doing other things.
So they found
Harley.
a 2-pack of those little Swisher Sweets.
Yeah, I sent
So-
Harley to go look at it.
I don't know. Somebody had to give him those
When did you find those?
last night.
Yeah, so I sent Harley to go do it. So Harley was like pulling out the book bag stuff and she's like, oh, I didn't see anything. And then she had a folder in her hand that dropped that folder. So she immediately used the text out.
Okay, now let me just ask this question here. Why did you send Harley to go snoop again and stuff? Listen, I try very, very hard not to judge parenting styles because to be quite honest with you, these little boogers don't come with owner's manuals. You know what I'm saying? And they don't come with directions, and they don't come with a handbook. Okay. So you got to do what works best for your child. And even when you have multiple children in the home, the same things don't work for all the kids, right? You can have the same rules, but the same techniques don't always work for all the kids. So I get it. But I don't think it's I don't understand why she would have Harley looking through Gannon's stuff. That just seems odd to me. Not, it's just odd. It just says something about the dynamic in the household, something that should be noted, which I noted. Okay.
Who gave you this?
It was listed in the report. You guys gave it to.
Yeah, I didn't give anybody no.
So there was information that you wanted to go to a party with the Bassalts. That was just over. Is that right?
No, so no, he said I want to go to a friend's house. They said bring bath salts and my older brother.
Yeah.
That's piecing it all together. That's the term. So this Rubicon, so we live on Mandan right here. That Rubicon would be those boys, that Braden's family right here. I'm sure that's,
Okay, so that's Braden's house.
I would assume that because they don't know anybody else in Rubicon.
Yeah, I wouldn't have given
And Lily and Reese,
Cause I don't even know.
well, I don't know, Rubicon goes around here, so unless he was going somewhere right there, I don't know, but the boys do live there, Rubicon. Lily and Reese live on Gapple.
So we also have a deputy back over at the comment ago. So we asked him to send us the videos. They can't do it.
Also, I want to point out too that I do think that that little exchange, it was very brief, between Al and Letecia, where Al says, you know, she searched his book bag, meaning Letecia, and you know she found these Swisher sweets or whatever, and Letecia interjects and says, no, Harley did. I actually believe, and then Al says, no, I thought you said you did, right? I think that's actually the way that it went. I do think that Letecia told him that she's the one that found it. That's what I think. And I think that also speaks to the dynamic in that household.
Late last night,
No, we've been during, it would have been probably before working.
I'm trying to, the only deputy I spoke with that I remember, one called me because we were getting overwhelmed.
Yeah.
I don't know who I spoke with. They were at the house though, right?
There's a lot.
I think they were at the house, and then Donatello, Sean Donahue.
No, Chris Donatel.
This is a Paso County. Yes, Deputy Sean Donahue, I think, is the one I talked to because he said
The recording.
he said he would text me the case number, and then he said we got come and go footage, so I texted him back. Yeah, I mean you can read the.
So the deputy that went to the comment show, the clerk said, oh yeah, he was videoing. The deputy reviewed the video, and he does not see video.
Who does it live?
I got all the, he saw it
What, the one viewed today or last night?
last night. He's going back again today.
So let's see, Donahue said basically that it said there was nothing out of the ordinary. He didn't seem under duress. He left on foot. He only purchased a bag of chips. And I continued to ask him questions about.
First of all, I think that came from the clerk. And the clerk said, yeah, it's no. But the deputy ran the new video. The kid is back in the video buying the chips.
Yeah.
He doesn't think it's your son.
Okay.
But he's over there back now. We can go there and look at it, but we can't get a copy of it.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to have video.
I mean, I was over there when, I don't know who was over there at like 11:30. There was another deputy over there around.
That would not have been the guys over there in my room.
Yeah, so we were driving around. I saw a squad car or whatever there. I pulled in and I said, hey, can I look at the footage? He said, I don't have permission for that. But he said, I've looked over an hour and a half. I don't see description of your son or something that's close to him.
What kind of iCloud sign in? Sorry.
Let's text real quick, and it's in my note. I think it's the kid's stuff, isn't it?
I'll need a username and password.
Yeah, I got it in my phone.
You see anything in our report? I saw a screenshot on the phone. Something like that. You guys.
Somebody sent that.
So there's been like 100 videos, photos that I went through. And I know that a couple of them were what appears to be him because it's the same outfit, the same, looks like him, there were people scrolling on the. So we had like 400 comments to go through.
So
That
that should be the iCloud
we sent.
username and password for his phone.
Was available, we wrote it
And
back.
then,
Or whatever, so yeah.
yeah, you can write all that. And that's the Gmail username and password attached.
So yeah, do you care if I just take a picture of that?
You have a screenshot and send it to you with that.
That's cool.
Like it was on Gatlin. One of them I sent to my husband, I just don't remember what this one is.
Weird, yeah, there. That's the.
Gatlin's behind us.
Always a cap.
Oh, yeah, no, Gatlin.
That's way up in the city.
Message. All right, what's your number?
719
Okay.
208
Okay.
1406.
So, you guys saw one?
And I just left that's my daughter's iCloud too. Not that it'll matter, but just in case, I'll just left that one on there for you.
You're pretty sure that's one?
Yeah, okay. But I mean,
So where was this one taken at what time?
I need to look at it. If you give that, I guess, they're trying to go, the same thing, but.
I give you a number, I can send a picture to you. I'm gonna send it to the guy that's overlooking that video. Seven one nine.
So.
No. 5657. And that one was somewhere over by your house?
Yeah, what video here, we didn't.
You can get over the common door.
Oh, I didn't say where, I was like, I don't really make costume for this, I'll say that.
So I did see he has a whole bunch of emails for somebody.
Well, this is why, this is why. So we'll all be in there, and they only let you do the just for you, keep on clicking. So everybody in the house with phones have to get it, so she.
Game the system.
Well, our son gets random emails from.
You'll notice like stickers on this.
My email box.
Yeah.
That's your point.
That's why it's.
So let's all.
That's all, that's. And then I'll get in there and be like, what number am I putting in and try them all. If anybody searches, you guys.
Yeah, that's not all you do with Gannon's phone number, is it, Letecia? You use his phone number as a reference for some made-up person for jobs.
4 hours.
Nasty.
And the first thing they come in, they just were like, hey, we need to get your ID. Maybe you have to run in like, I guess like search saying and stuff like that. And then they said, well, typically, or sometimes kids can like hide, and someone told me something about kids could be in the jar and not realize that they could breathe, like different places. So the guy went through every room and all the officers and everybody else like stood this way. And he did like flashlights, checked all the spots to make sure he wasn't like hiding, because at this point it had already been so long. He doesn't ever come in to hide. He might do like a play, like jump out behind the thing, but not like anything specific. Yeah, so he went in like all of our closets. We like stuff. Everybody was silent. Then we looked at the alarm to see like if there was any motion that might have been in any direction that we, like we didn't know. So I did do it, he did it. We spent a while doing that, going over certain things. Like they walked me around, they were like, does he always leave this here? The clothes that were laid out, because we laid out, when he goes out of town and it's just me there, I try to lay out all the clothes, and I do it for him too if I'm somewhere. so they can just get up and find their clothes. So they were like, all these clothes are laid out. And I was like, yeah, it says Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Cause he's got like 2 beds. So he used to see other beds, like the layout, all that stuff. So they walk through, he just asked them simple questions. Would you normally do this? Would you normally do that? You know.
Working on the Nintendo right now. Does he have a gamer ID on that Switch?
Yeah, you don't remember it. Did it come through on the? his phone?
Can I see this one? It might be.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he had one and then when he got the new system, we just created a one was program and password for it. So
When he goes to play, I know you had said that you have to like basically kick him out the door to go ride his bike in that, but when he does play outside, where does he go?
Goes to Braden's house.
Well, you don't have to kick him outside if he's not on his medicine. If he's not on his medicine, he's hyper, he'll go. But if he's on his medicine, it's more like if till it wears off, it's 5 minutes for ADHD. So until it wears off, it might be a, like I don't want to play, like it's on me mode at first. So when it wears off, like if it's the weekend and we give it to him because we have to go to church, he would not go outside on a Sunday because it's still in the system at church. But he didn't take it because he didn't take it Saturday. He didn't take it because we went hiking, because we did a 6-mile hike. He didn't take it Sunday. I'm sorry, that was Sunday. He didn't take it Saturday, he didn't take it Sunday, and he didn't take it Monday, which caused the stomach problems. So he was off his medicine. I don't even think he ever go.
They said that the manager of the store says it knows the kid. He comes in living with his dad. So that's not us, but which we constantly think on.
Back to milk for a second. I'm gonna have to look up Vyvanse. I know what it is, but I'm not familiar with like I would be with like Strattera or what's the other one? Ritalin, and then the other one that I cannot think of right now. The more not the next common one that's not Vyvanse. Because I remember my oldest son was diagnosed with ADHD, and we were told not to ever just stop, not to miss a day. I mean, unless he was like really sick or something, and obviously you don't want to give them their ADHD medication, but that it needed to be continued because they needed to keep a therapeutic level in their system. Yes, Adderall. There you go. Thank you, Amelia. And that, yeah, I don't understand this, not keeping him on it on the weekends, or that it wears off. Like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying that, I don't know. There's something very wrong about Letecia, which obviously we know that, it's just the whole thing with her, the stuff that she's saying, man, I just can't.
This morning, okay, checking the golf course.
Yeah, we saw him put the light on and we thought like there's people out there, but they were doing like another call, so he like kind of chased him down.
No, it was actually for you. They didn't know what they were gonna find and whatnot.
Yeah.
They didn't want to give people all riled up. They were checking on it, some good shed. I think it was in that golf course area.
Oh,
So they went in and started.
okay,
You see where the was pushed down?
right.
He was not it. But I want you to know, that wasn't him looking for anything or following.
Because they were just like, we were going to talk with somebody, and we both drove off and was like, we both drove to make sure it's not your car. We both drove off and like, they're going in the woods to talk to people. Because we thought like,
Yeah.
okay, whatever, and drove on.
So they were going into that, I mean, because there's an abandoned shed or something back there.
People going there, that's what happened. They were going there, but they weren't.
Okay, thank you. I mean, like, I'm glad they weren't like saying that soon it would have been.
They just didn't, they didn't wanna,
Right, right.
yeah, you got a tip, you might be over here.
Yeah,
You know, 30
exactly.
people are running toward the shed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I have to get back to you on that, Madam Nixie, because I think that they were side-eyeing her for, from the beginning. I mean, I think after this,
What color is Braden's house?
exchange or whatever, I do
I don't
think
handle
that they
anything.
started,
I don't even know. I think that was
side-eyeing her, and
I've never spoke to their parents. So now
there was just something off about her, apparently.
Yeah.
See, I gave my son Strattera because it's not this,
You know, I've
it's
drove
not,
by
it
it
doesn't
and
have
I just
the
Eugene?
amphetamine in it, and maybe that's why we were,
What
you know,
color is Braden's house?
told how to,
Sorry, I didn't know.
you know,
Is it on
administer
your
the
street?
medication, and it's probably different than other ones, but yeah.
So come in our neighborhood, our house is like third from the end, something like that. Two intersections, dead end right here. There's Canberra, where I referenced, and then Braden. Basically, you come and you go straight to their house from the intersect.
So this is,
This is us. That's Mandan. Rubicon, right? Rubicon.
Find out about that declaration house. If nobody's there, we'll start doing a back search.
Braden and then Canberra.
And go for that.
We'll be out there.
All right.
you said,
Canberra, which she's in there somewhere. And
where's
this is-
Connor at?
Connor, they live over, oh,
Like Academy or something.
somewhere, yeah, way over up Academy. It's just his mom teaches at that Webster school or works there, so that he goes to.
They just Connor's mom's number.
Did you give her that?
No, we got sidetracked.
She just
on 15 other things.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So
I don't have-
Braden is on Rubicon.
Goes by Canyon. Goes by Canyon? Canyon, yeah.
Connor's mom.
Yeah.
You guys let me know when you get down that section. Okay, we'll do. Well, we're doing everything we can for you right now. Thank you so much. You guys up, we got your number. Make sure it's charged, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Okay. That'll work.
And so this is school. It's down here, Grand Mountain. Just to the reference. And what is it? What is it? Fontaine? Fontaine was the main drag coming in.
Right.
Mark Shuffle.
Yep. I do know that part.
For the first term when you come in. So anyways.
Okay, perfect. So what I think we're gonna do is we're gonna. Do you have a card in your? I'll have another card. We're gonna head down to talk to see if we can get a hold of Braden. As soon as I'm. Sorry. I'm not sure. Might be at school. We may, and he goes to Grand Mountain.
Yeah, they all, the whole neighborhood does now.
Except Connor.
Okay.
Well, Connor's, because he's way over here somewhere. I'll just have him, like I said. Braden does.
We're gonna try and talk to Braden. We're gonna get a dump on the phone. Sergeant Hess, the guy that was sitting here, he's also working on things in the area too with other patrols. He's sort of like the lead for in the field. We're gonna see what information we can gather from there. And I will inform you guys as soon as I can what we find. If something comes up, no matter how minute, please call us, okay? That 208 number that you texted, that's my direct stuff. So, and I think I called you from it, so you should have it in your phone. So, yeah, hit me up, let me know what's going on. If I don't answer immediately, send me a text too.
Okay.
Okay? All right, guys.
That's a good place for a break. Ladies and gentlemen, we will take our morning break. If I can have everyone back in the jury room at say 10:40, we should be able to start on time at that point. All rise for the jury, please.
Okay. So as
Thank you.
promised, I'm
The
going.
record should reflect the jury has left the courtroom. Ms. Bethel, I want to apologize to you. I didn't realize that the video was, or the audio was going to be that long. I would have offered you a seat in the gallery as we have other witnesses, because that witness chair is not the most comfortable to be sitting there for 55 minutes and 12 seconds listening to something. So next time we'll do a better.
Okay. As promised, I'm going to tell you guys my story of having to call 911. So when my oldest daughter was 14, she had gone over to her friend's house to play or to hang out. Not really to play. Obviously, she's 14 years old. And yes, that was the whole first interview, Amelia. So, you know, the rule at our house is they all had cell phones, right? So the rule at our house is you check in when you get there, and you check in every hour, and you call and ask and let me know if you're going anywhere else other than where you're supposed to be. And of course, we had her the friend's address and all that, met the parents, blah blah blah. So she missed one of the check-ins, and I called her, and her cell phone went right to voicemail. So I started calling friends around her, and friends of hers that I knew, right? And what I found out from one of the friends is that the girl's house that my daughter was at, she had a social media account of some type, but she talked to people that she met online and met people online, at the neighborhood park. And that's when I just freaked out. Okay. So my husband drives over there to the house, and the girls are not there. And we found out that they have indeed gone to the park. So now I'm really freaking out, right? So as my husband is telling me what's going on and keeping me up to date, once I heard park, I called 911. And I explained everything to them. And I'm telling you, I was scared. I was panicked. I thought for sure that, because she had never done anything like that. I will say that my oldest daughter was very, very diligent and responsible about checking in and doing what we asked her to do, because if she didn't, she knew that she wouldn't be allowed to go anywhere anymore, right? So I'm on the phone with 911, and they're about to dispatch an officer to the house to take. In fact, they did. And so I'm telling the officer that's at the house, I have really pushed this far back into the recesses of my brain because this was scary. She scared the crap out of me, you guys. So as I'm relaying the information to the officer, she calls. And let me tell you, I have never in all of my existence been so glad to hear her voice on the other end of the phone. And I distinctly remember that she called and she was annoyed, but I was so glad that she was okay that I didn't even care that she had a sassy tone to her. And we thanked the officer, and he said, no, you did the right thing. And he went over to the girl's house and left his card so that he could speak to her parents, because he thought that they should be aware of her online activity, which of course she never, and my daughter was not allowed to go over there anymore. Now the daughter could come over, or her friend could come over to our house, but she could not go to hers anymore, because after that, I never trusted her. It never sat right with me. And it freaked me out. And I can promise you that I know what my tone sounded like because I do remember the 911 dispatcher saying, "It's okay. We're going to figure this out." And the cop, same thing. "It's okay. We're going to figure this out. 9 times out of 10, she's just her phone. She's, at the park and because we went to the park and we could not find her. 9 times out of 10, I didn't leave the house because I was thinking, okay, somebody needs to be here in case, she comes home. But my husband rode by the park and she wasn't there. And, they were trying to, I was not hysterical because I will say that I understood that I'm the only person that can advocate for my daughter, that all of the information about her is going to come from me. These officers, as great as they were, they don't know her. So it's all got to come from me. So while I was scared out of my mind, I can tell you right now, my tone did not sound like Letecia's at all. There was definite panic in my voice. And I've been really, 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 while I've been listening to this interview that she was giving with the cops or with detectives, I have a new thought in my brain. Because remember, I was talking about how I don't understand how this was classified initially as a potential runaway, right? And then I started thinking about it and, well, how would they classify something, right? It's by what the person calling in reports. And the way that the things that Letecia was saying to the dispatcher were of things that you would say if you thought your child ran away, right? Not that your child is missing, which if things happened the way Letecia had said, Gannon would be missing. He wouldn't have been a runaway because he left his house. He asked permission to leave. He had a specific destination in mind where he told his parents, where he told Letecia he was going to be, and he had a specific time to be home. And so I actually think that Letecia knew that if she called the police and reported Gannon missing, there would be a very different level of response to that call versus it being an 11-year-old runaway. Do you know what I mean? And I think that is exactly why she did what she did. And it's so indicative of the level of manipulation. And I have to say this. I don't know, because there are things I know about dissociative identity disorder. Okay. Do I think that Letecia has DID? No, I don't. Okay. Can I know for sure? No, because I'm not qualified. Okay. But I feel like if Letecia suffered from or had been truly had dissociative identity disorder, I truly believe that people would have seen it along the way, that people would be testifying to things that in hindsight, look a little different than they did in the moment. But they were little red flags. It's just that, people can see red flags and dismiss red flags. They know that they're red flags, but they dismiss red flags. It doesn't mean that nobody saw any red flag. So with Letecia hearing from people is that he had anything that nobody noticed any of the symptoms we frequently associate with dissociative identity disorder. And I mean, for Al's part, he did say in so many words that basically she's high strung, she's got anxiety, and she's manipulative AF. But yeah. So it is what it is with her. I don't know, though, if we can say that because she was manipulating the narrative once she had reported Gannon as a runaway, and then it changed, right? I don't know if we can use the manipulation as a, what's the word I'm looking for? As being indicative of her not having DID. I mean, if you think about it, what DID actually is, you know, it's really just a fracturing of the mind and into separate personalities, right? But but that would mean that, you know, because it all human beings are capable of manipulation, right? So I think that it would be a safe bet to say that certainly it's possible that one or more alters of her, if she had DID, could potentially be highly manipulative. Okay, so I don't think we should use that as just as a measuring stick for like, no, she doesn't have DID, but she was definitely manipulating the whole entire situation. She was steering, exactly right, Tony. She was 150% steering the ship the entire time. She controlled everything. But I thought what I found interesting about this interview is, hold on just a second, that you see who's doing the majority of the talking. Al. Al is leading the conversation, which I find interesting because, and I think that the officers or the detectives, I think, in my opinion, this is probably how I would have handled it as well. I would have sat back and asked questions to the table, as it were, right? And whichever parent answered, but I would be taking mental notes of which parent was answering what. I think that that's what these detectives were doing, because they needed to ascertain the dynamic between the couple, and then you know, how would that play into the dynamic in the home. This is things I would be paying attention to, right? And I'm not trained in anything. I'm just nosy, and people's behaviors fascinate me. So I think that it was an interesting dynamic there for Al to be taking charge of the interview. And the reason I think that is because Letecia is the one who was with Gannon the majority of the time. And it's not to say that Al wouldn't be able to tell things about his son. Obviously, he should and could, right? That's normal. But as far as any of the events leading up to that Monday when he went quote unquote missing, right? The brunt of that conversation should have been, the details should have come from Letecia, but they didn't. They came a lot from Al, and I just thought that was interesting. It doesn't mean anything one way or another. It's not negative against Al. I think that he wanted to do everything, give everything over immediately so that they could start looking through everything and find his son. I think his heart is in the right place. His concern, his fear, all of that to me sounds genuine. But what I find interesting about that is about the fact that Letecia was described by her brother as being a leader, right? And Al described her as being manipulative. And there is an element of controlling behavior and manipulation. I mean, think about it. You're manipulating because you want control, right? So I don't know another way to say it. But so I feel like that was very intentional. And I thought that it was very interesting that the detective on the stand, when she is leading up to, she's testifying about the, about, what they're about to, play, right? The audio, that she described Letecia as reluctant to speak to us, to say the least. And I thought that was interesting because, I'm very lucky. And, my daughter was safe and sound, and, she just, her phone died. And, she's grown up, and now she's, a mama of her own, in her own right. She's a great mama. And I've got a little Olivia Chicken Nugget Pot Pie Esquire, and I adore her. I love her with all my heart. She just makes me so happy. But, yeah, like, I feel like I was ready to tell those officers anything that they wanted to know. I would have told them my bra size if they had asked. I would have told them, I would have answered any question that they asked me, no matter what it was. No matter what it was, I would have answered it truthfully. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I think that goes without saying, but obviously I would have answered, I would have done anything. If they said you need to jump through these 8 hoops and they're going to be on fire, and that's what is going to be required to get your daughter safe and sound, I would do it. If they told me that I needed to donate a kidney, I would have done it. I would have done anything. And I think that Al, for his part, that comes through in that audio, which I actually think is, I mean, obviously there is something to watching the visual, right? Seeing when people shift in their seats, when they're uncomfortable, or they fidget or whatever. There is a lot to body language. I do think it's interesting to watch and analyze in some capacity, right? But I also think when you don't have that visual, it also forces you to really, really hear what the person is saying, the words that they choose, the emphasis they put on certain things, the just, you really have to pay attention to what they say and what they don't say. Like if they hesitate, like that little exchange between Letecia and Al about the backpack and the Swisher Sweets. I think that had there been a visual, I can tell you that I probably would have been distracted looking at something, and I would have missed that little exchange. So, yeah, I think that in these, Tony, yeah, I would have told him anything that they wanted to know. I would have told him how much I weigh, and I would have been 100% honest about it, right down to the ounces if they'd
To the
asked
jury
me.
at this point in time.
Not from us, Your Honor.
Right.
No, Your Honor.
We're back.
Right, then let's go ahead and bring the jury in. Really is a pain, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
There's not a different setting, is there?
no. And it's, yeah, proud of it, but it's easy, but.
You just got to remember to do it because
Yeah.
it would be disastrous otherwise.
It's gonna be a disaster.
It just is that camera's view when it automatically reboots up and starts again. Every time we start it, it has the whole jury box.
Oh.
And so you have to zoom it in to cut out Ms. Gratiano, so that we know that we're not getting the jury box. And because there's a juror that sits right behind her too, so you can't. All rise for the jury, please.
Okay, Tony. Thanks for being here. Oh, what's Samara doing over there in the corner? Oh, she's got some paperwork. Okay.
Record should reflect the jury heard courtroom court will recall 20 CR 1358 People versus Letecia Stauch. Mr. Allen?
Your Honor. Watch that initial conversation you had, like recorded conversation that you had.
I'm sorry, Renee. I never had a step parent. My parents stayed together. I mean, they split up for a minute and then they got back together, but we never had any step parents. But I can say this. If I were to ever be a step parent to a child, I would, it's a commitment, just like raising any child is a commitment. And I don't think that everybody is built to do it. And, you know, I think it's unfortunate that there are people that that go into it and their hearts are, they love the person they're married to, but they don't like their children. And I don't see how that is possible, how you can love a person but not love their children. There are people like that, and they have zero business being step parents. All right, here we go.
Switch was actually found in the house. There's lots of discussion in that video, or recording, I should say, about things that required investigative resources. Do you remember hearing those things?
Yes.
Does that include going to different residences, like that? I think it's 10350 Declaration Drive, to look for potentially clues that would lead to discovery of where Gannon might be?
Yes.
In your experience as a seasoned homicide investigator and detective, is time an important element in an investigation?
Yes, it is.
Is the fact that resources are being expended to chase down potentially a runaway child as opposed to a homicide investigation, did that waste valuable time in the investigation?
Yes.
And was that wasting of resources a direct result of misdirection from the defendant?
It is.
During your course of conversation with the defendant at that Starbucks on January 28th, is this essentially the fourth time at least that she's given this story that Gannon has run away? Meaning there's the 911 call, the call for service, reporting it to Al, and then now reporting it to you in recorded photo.
Yes.
So almost a quadrupling down of that runaway story.
Yes.
What was her demeanor like? I guess because we can only hear what is being said. What were her outward demeanor expressions like? Were they normal?
She was calm and collected.
Did she ever change personalities while you were with her during this recorded?
No, she did not.
Was her personality consistent throughout that interaction?
Yes, it was.
And there was reference to 80 data to show to Petco. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Did you also during this investigation become aware of neighborhood ring or doorbell cameras that caught that action as well?
Yes.
That confirmed sort of that timeline?
Yes.
Was it consistent during your course of this investigation that there would be some kernel that could be confirmed, a kernel of truth that could be confirmed from the defendant wrapped around things that were unconfirmable or turned out to be totally false?
Yes.
Some point later that particular day, 3:45 p.m., did you reach out to the defendant again by phone to request particular items?
I did.
What were those items?
I requested that she bring a toothbrush and or hairbrush with her of Gannon's.
What was the purpose for that?
To collect for DNA purposes to develop a DNA profile.
Is that a common thing to do in a missing child case like this?
Yes,
Why is that?
because if the child is located and is deceased, we're able to identify them.
By comparing the DNA from the body to the DNA profile that you might gather from toothbrush or a hairbrush?
Yes.
Were you making efforts to get the defendant down to the sheriff's office to sit for a formal interview?
Yes.
While that was happening, did Al Stauch, Gannon's father, show up at the sheriff's office and actually sit for an interview?
Yes, he did.
Was that about 4:30 PM on January 28th?
Yes.
Did you send a text to the defendant asking her to come down at roughly the same time?
I did.
Did she come down?
No, she did not.
Did she even respond to your text message?
I don't believe she responded initially, no.
Okay. Later that evening at about 6 PM, did you get a call from the defendant?
Yes, I did.
What's the, and what was the call? Was it to your cell phone?
Yes.
Does the sheriff's office have areas in the building that make cell phone service difficult?
Yes, they do.
Did you experience that with this particular phone call?
Yes, I did.
So what did you do in response to that?
Because I wasn't able to completely talk to Letecia on the phone, I hung up with her and I called from a landline located within the sheriff's office.
Did you get a better connection on that?
I did.
Was that particular phone call recorded?
No, it was not.
Do you remember what she told you or what the discussion was during that phone call?
She was discussing her relationship with Gannon and Lena. She told me about how her parenting and Al's parenting was separate, that they never formally adopted each other's children, that she wasn't allowed to make parenting decisions for Gannon or Lena, and Al was not allowed to make parenting decisions for Harley.
Okay. And then did she tell you during a particular phone call the last time that she actually saw Gannon, at least the way that she's reporting it?
She did. She mentioned that she saw him, I believe it was between 3:15 and 4, and she had mentioned that there was a TV show on that she had liked to watch. And I asked her what that TV show was, and she could not tell me the name of the TV show.
Did she describe the clothing that Gannon was last seen wearing by her?
Yes, she did.
What was that?
She said it was a blue shirt, blue pants, and his tennis shoes.
Did she also mention a blue hoodie?
Yes.
Did you ask her during this phone call if she would come down and talk with you at the sheriff's office?
Yes.
Did she accept that invitation or did she decline it?
She declined.
Did she give you a reason why she was declining it?
She said that her stomach was bothering her and she was having to make multiple stops at different Walgreens to use the restroom.
Okay. Later on at about 7:03 PM, did you get another call from the defendant?
I did.
What was that phone call about?
She was FaceTiming me and she was mad because her daughter was left alone with a bunch of men in the home, she claimed. At that time, the sheriff's office was at the home to get Lena at Al's request.
So I think that's later on when she's asking about that. Would that potentially have been at 11:52 PM, that particular call? A FaceTime call where she's upset about and needing Al to come home?
That could have been, yes.
Okay. I guess after that 7:03 call, did you get another call from Al in which he was upset?
Yes, I did.
Well,
Al called me and he was sobbing. I could tell that he was upset. And he told me that he didn't tell us everything. He had previously done an interview with my partner, Mark Riley. And he explained that Letecia had rented a vehicle from the airport when she picked him up and that he did not disclose that to us.
did he also talk about trying to find her normal vehicle, the black Tiguan?
Yes,
Was he able to find it?
he was not, no.
Was that causing him distress, at least as he's relaying it to you?
Yes.
Did that lead to him coming back into the sheriff's office for another interview?
Yes.
And then later on that night, at about 10:45 PM, did you get a text message from the defendant? A rather long text message?
She's texted me multiple times that night. Yes.
Do you remember the specific content of that text message?
I don't for that time frame.
Okay, if I showed you a report, would that refresh your memory as to the specific content of that text message?
Yes.
Your may I approach?
You may.
Seeing this paragraph here. Had a chance to review that? And for the record, what I'd handed to Detective, Ms. Bethel is pagina 1043. Did that refresh your text message?
Yes.
What text message?
She was asking what I wanted from her, and she was saying that she was being set up and that she learned that information from a fellow Blue with El Paso County.
Was that basically an implication that she had an inside source to the investigation to you?
Yes.
Was that, did that turn out to be true?
No, it was not true.
Did she also express during that text message the same sort of thing, that she was upset about her daughter being in the house with people from the sheriff's office, men from the sheriff's office?
Yes.
Did she relay in that particular text message the idea that she could hear what was being discussed inside the home because of cameras or something in the home?
Yes.
Did you respond to her?
I did.
What did you respond with?
I asked her if she had any information to help me find Gannon.
Did you also invite her to come into the sheriff's office to talk with you?
Yes.
Did she accept, or what happened?
She declined.
I'm gonna retrieve that page from you. And then just minutes after that, 11:52 PM, is this the FaceTime call that you got from the defendant?
Yes.
Was this a recorded FaceTime call?
Yes, it was.
Audio recorded?
Yes.
You're going to approach with People's Exhibit 336.
You may.
Do you recognize People 336?
Do.
How do you recognize it?
It is a FaceTime interview with Letecia.
Have you had a chance to listen to the content of that disc?
Yes, I have.
Is the recording file on there a fair and accurate representation of the audio of that FaceTime call?
Yes, it is.
At this time, I'd move for admission of People's Exhibit 336 and ask for permission to publish.
All right, you may go ahead.
Are you accepting it as being admitted?
Yes, it's admitted.
Okay.
You can go ahead and play it. I was
Okay.
just, I'm sorry, I was distracted because I was looking down at this. This is, while it says FaceTime, it's only audio, right?
It's only audio, yeah. And just so that the record is clear, I never did hear whether there was an objection or not from defense as to it moving admission.
All right. All right, Exhibit 336 will be admitted.
Go ahead.
I'm just trying to figure out, I got your message about something. I talked to you earlier. You didn't say anything good, so I'm just trying to I'm confused at what you want me to do, what's going on. You talked to me, now you want to talk to me again.
Well, you sent me that message saying, I don't know what you want from me, so
Yes, because I mean, my child couldn't leave. I couldn't go home. I don't have anywhere to sleep. I mean, like, I just don't understand.
Well, I'm sorry. I mean, that sort of kind of came out of left field for me. All I'm trying to do is gather information to find Gannon.
I don't understand what you mean came out of left field. My own child could not leave. So how is that out of left field?
What do you mean your child couldn't leave?
She was trying to go to Starbucks and was left there and forced to stay there with men in and out the home by herself.
Okay, I don't know what happened at your home. I know that she was offered the opportunity to come into the office and she didn't want to, so she didn't go into the office.
But what does she need to go in the office for? She can't go get food. She can't go get coffee and have to be asked why she gets coffee. Either Starbucks app to see that she gets coffee like every day. Hello.
Is there anything more that you might be able to share with me to help me find Gannon?
Just give me this.
Where are you now?
You keep asking me this over and over and over.
Where are you now?
I'm not going in to talk to you
Okay.
without an attorney when you already talked to me earlier.
Okay. That's perfectly fine.
But I just don't understand what's going on.
Do you have anything, any further information to give me that may help me find Gannon? Any new developments, new information?
I told you this.
Okay. Well then, I'm gonna go ahead and end the conversation then, because we've already spoken.
So what you keep saying and looking for me, wanting me to go talk to them. So now it's you. So I'm trying to figure out what's going on.
You and I have already spoken. If you want to come in to speak with me at the office, that's completely fine.
But why was someone?
I don't know. And so what I'm saying at this point in time, Letecia, is if you don't have any other information for me to actively look through to find Gannon, there's no point in me continuing this conversation. I need to get off the phone here and start working on leads and developments.
Okay.
All right, thanks.
So where were you when you got that FaceTime call?
I was in the sheriff's office.
The other noises that you can sort of hear in the background, do you know what those other noises were?
To me, if I remember correctly, it sounded like windshield wipers on a car.
Okay, making that weird moaning sound?
Yes, they were rhythmic.
Okay. The sounds like potentially her demeanor is a little bit different than what was happening at Starbucks. How would you describe that?
She was angry with me.
And angry because of the idea of trying to get her down and talk to you at the sheriff's office?
I'm not exactly sure why she was angry with me, but she was angry with me.
What was your goal? What were you trying to achieve as you're accepting this FaceTime call for?
I thought that maybe she had additional information for me to follow up on so I could find Gannon.
And did she resist that, giving you additional information that might help find Gannon?
Yes.
Besides the fact that she's expressing anger, did she have a consistent personality with what you had experienced in a previous phone call and at Starbucks?
Yes.
There was reference made by her that she wasn't going to come down and talk to you at the sheriff's office unless she had an attorney.
Correct.
Did that indicate that she had a good understanding of what her rights might be if she does come down?
Yes.
Object to speculation.
Ruled.
What was your answer?
Yes.
And then did you, basically throughout that night, early morning hours, were you getting text messages from the defendant?
Yes, I was.
What was the nature of those text messages?
A lot of them were about her, focused around her. Asking her to come in to talk to me if she had any additional information for me. And eventually in the early morning hours of the 29th, she gave me a story that she needed to talk to me. She was asking for a friend if we released information to the media. I told her we did not. She said something that had happened to her and she couldn't tell me around Albert because he would be mad and would become violent. And I ultimately arranged an interview for her, which was supposed to start at 10 o'clock at the sheriff's office on that Wednesday.
10 o'clock a.m.?
Yes.
Okay. Was it odd to you, as you're describing those text messages, the early text messages, that the focus from her perspective was on her as opposed to finding Gannon?
Absolutely, yes.
Why was that odd?
In my experience, investigating other crimes and investigating other missing children, the parents are always willing to give me whatever information they can to find their child. And I've never experienced a parent being concerned about their own well-being or welfare while their child is missing.
In those text messages, did she also describe injuries that Gannon had suffered?
Yes.
What were those?
She said that he had blood on him.
Did she say from cuts?
Yes.
Did she also describe burns?
Yes.
Did she deflect any cause of those injuries away from herself?
Yes.
Did she in fact say that she did not hurt Gannon?
She did.
At that stage of the investigation, was that an odd development that she's now indicating that he was hurt, but she didn't hurt him?
Yes.
In what way?
Most times, if you don't know what happened to somebody, you wouldn't put yourself out there to say that you didn't do something to that person.
So you mentioned that you arranged in these text messages to have the defendant show up for an interview at the sheriff's office at 10 a.m. on January 29th, which would be Wednesday. Did she show up at 10 a.m.?
She did not.
Were you able to have any contact with her around that time frame to indicate where she might be or why she wasn't there?
I did text her, yes.
Did you get any responses?
She eventually did respond to me and told me that she was, she had to put measures in place because she was being, or excuse me, her daughter was being stalked and her family was receiving death threats. And so she wasn't able to come in until she got those things taken care of.
Was there any indication, investigation that either her or her daughter was actually receiving death threats?
No.
What time did she arrive?
12 o'clock noon.
All right, may I approach with 337?
You may.
Detective, oh, I'm sorry, I keep doing that. Miss Bethel, do you recognize People's Exhibit 337?
I do.
What do you recognize it as?
It is a copy of the interview I conducted along with Detective Kat Houston with Letecia at the Office of the Sheriff.
Is this the interview from January 29th, 2020 starting at roughly 12 p.m.?
It is.
Have you had a chance to review the contents of, I think that's actually a thumb drive or a portable drive, right?
Yes.
Is the content of that thumb drive a fair and accurate representation of that interview of the defendant?
It is.
Or at this time, I'd move for admission of Peoples 337.
Mr. Cook,
No objection.
exhibit 337.
And for reference sake, this recording is 4 hours, 19 minutes and 46 seconds long. And so we will have to stop it for the lunch break and then probably a second time as well.
Okay.
Bruh.
All right. So ladies and
4
gentlemen, what we'll do
hours
is,
of
this is,
Letecia.
Both video and audio, right?
It is.
So we're going to start this. We will take a break, a normal lunch break. We'll flex that to a reasonable breaking period. And then we'll send you on your way and we'll come back. But in the meantime, start with that. And Ms. Bethel, you can step down and sit in some place that's a little bit more comfortable for that long a period of time. And prosecution, go ahead.
Thank you.
I just like to say before he starts playing this that, bruh, who FaceTimes the Popo demanding their questions be answered, but refusing to answer any of the Popo's questions? That's what I'd like to know. Oh, Letecia does. Okay, here we go.
Kind of slide it to when they actually come in the room.
Good idea.
Let me adjust this layout.
And then just because you're in here and you're
Okay,
getting info, I can pat you
what's
down
on the
really quick.
video.
Need you to face out. Yeah, go ahead and put your arms out for me and just separate your legs slightly for me. There you go. Nothing that's gonna like poke me or anything. Like you're not diabetic or anything, are you? Okay. Just a phone. Anything in your purse? That's like. Okay. Perfect. Thank you. Great. If you have a seat on the couch, we'll be right back with you. Thanks.
Your Honor, just while we're actually watching this part, I do want to put on the record, wouldn't necessarily the detention on the internet, but I think in the room are also relevant for mental health issues. So I'm getting different.
I don't know, Allie, and I can't figure out how to fix this. Hold on.
How you doing? Did you get some sleep?
I haven't eaten today.
Oh my goodness. Want something to eat? I've got some stuff.
I would love that.
What would you like? I've got some pizza hot pockets and some tamales, a breakfast burrito.
Hot pockets would be good, but I mean, you don't have to like. I don't.
No, we can get you something. Yeah, that's totally fine. Yeah. Let me get that started for you. I have like Coke and Sprite and like apple juice. Do you want something like that?
You have diet?
We searched high and low
Okay,
for diet. There's no diet.
I'll
Like
take a regular Coke. Thank you.
all the vending machines are even sold out.
Thank you so much for getting that.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's my card, just so
Okay.
you have it, so I don't forget later. I'll get that just. Okay. So that's my partner, Detective Houston. I know you saw Mark with me yesterday. I work with a couple different people.
So you're like in charge of.
No, I wouldn't necessarily say I'm in charge. It's just, we all pitch in and help out where we can. So Mark helps me whenever I'm out and about, and Kat helps me whenever I'm here.
Right.
So she's gonna be hanging out with us. And I also have something going on. So if this ends up going over, which is totally fine, I just want you to know who Kat is and that. Okay.
No problem.
Where did you park? Did you park in the garage?
Mm-hmm.
The garage that's right behind our building?
I got a parking ticket. Yeah. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Perfect. For validation, what kind of vehicle were you in? So that I can put that on the validation slip whenever because I'll give you something to turn in so you don't have to pay.
Yeah, it's a Volkswagen Tiguan.
It's a Volkswagen Tiguan?
Yeah.
Okay. And let's see, what else? So I'm just going to go through my normal spiel with you.
Okay.
I know that we talked last night, but because you're in here in the police building, I want you to know certain things, okay?
Right.
So first of all, you're in here voluntarily. You can leave.
Okay.
You just have to let me know that you want to leave.
Right.
Because I need to escort you out of the building, okay? If there's
I just want to interrupt to say that I tried to figure it out, and Long Crime adjusted it. So
ever time that you need to take a break, you need the bathroom, you need more water, you're still hungry, whatever it is, let me know. Okay. I can't read your mind, so I need you to let me know what's going on with you.
Okay.
So that I can help you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because the whole purpose of this, of us talking is to gather some information. And I
have
know
a question about that. I understand that. I know it's recording and all that. It's totally fine. But does that usually stay within the court and stuff like that? And I'm just asking.
Yeah. So this
because I'm gonna have to tell you some very personal things.
Okay. And that's perfectly fine.
Yeah,
and,
okay.
and so it is not our common practice to go and be releasing stuff like that. Also, another little admin thing that I do just to sort of kind of cover my butt whenever I have people in here talking is to go over a Miranda waiver. It doesn't mean that you're in trouble. It's just because you're in a police station and I want you to be absolutely certain of your rights.
Right.
Okay? So I'm going to go over that with you right now. So you have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. You have the right to talk to a lawyer and have him present with you while you're being questioned.
Mm-hmm.
If you can afford to hire a lawyer, one will be appointed to represent you before any questioning if you wish.
Okay.
You can decide at any time to exercise these rights and not answer any questions or make any statements.
Right.
Do you understand each of the rights that I've explained to you?
Yes.
And having these rights in mind, do you wish to speak with me?
Yes.
Okay. So if you could start.
Now, just briefly, you will recall in her interview with Spencer Wilson that she asked for an attorney repeatedly and was denied an attorney. Okay. Just keep that tucked up under your hat and for future reference. Just keep in mind of all the things that have taken place thus far. All right. I'm going to speed her up just a little bit so we can be in sync with the
we've been talking with each other a lot, but because this is recorded, I want to get, like, let's start from the basics. Okay. Have who you are, you have your ID. Your purse. What's the next glasses? Yeah, what are they? Just, I haven't heard of that. Is that a new, like a Quay brand? Wait, yeah, they're really
I'm
good.
sorry, your butt
They're
is
like better than like
broke,
the Michael Kors.
Amelia.
Oh, really? Yeah. Okay. I know this is your South Carolina ID.
Up here being all bougie with her Michael Kors purse.
What's your middle name? Well, it's I do my maiden name, which is Hardin, Hardin. Hardin? Yes, ma'am. Okay, and that's your maiden name? Mm-hmm. All right. I'm just writing downstairs with the number.
Do you have a government middle name, Letecia?
Yes, given middle name? Lynn. Mm-hmm.
There you go.
L-Y-N? Yes, ma'am. Yeah. Thank you. What's the phone number for you in case I need to get a hold of you? 843-655-7460. Don't ever drink shit beer, so this is probably going to be like stupid. What is, in case I need to send you any documentation via email, how can I do that? TECIA, like my name, Lynn, and then 2006 at yahoo.com. Are you on any social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram? Well, I wasn't for a long time, but just recently I just got like my Facebook back because we didn't have for like 2 years. So I do have Facebook, but I've always had Instagram, but it's mostly like a travel YouTube type thing. Okay, what's Facebook? It's just my name. Is it Letecia or Tisha? It's under Tisha. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, you said it's under Tisha? Mm-hmm. Oh, actually, it's not. It's because I abbreviated it. It's TT. Is it your same last name? Mm-hmm. Such. Yeah, because I really not like, my first name, I'm always like, oh, Tisha. They're like, what's Tisha? So I just put T because I'm not saying your name wrong. No, you haven't, but I always try to change it. My mom didn't like it, so like we try to change it. So yeah, so I just gave up just to put T. What do you want me to call you? You can call me Tisha, which is my Tisha. Okay. You know, we always have a name we don't like or something. Mm-hmm. And you said Instagram. Mm-hmm. Now my Instagram is under Dr. Stauch. Dr. what? Stauch. Is it spelling of your last name? Mm-hmm. Okay. Because I have my doctorate degree in education. Okay. Mm-hmm. I'm like, is this like a Dr. Pimple Popper kind of thing? Mm-hmm. So it's for your education doctorate. Mm-hmm. All right. And then address that I need to send if I need to mail anything, it's 6627 Mandan Drive. And then 80925. And where are you working? Well, I was working with WD3, but I didn't want to work as a teacher anymore. Mm-hmm. So I decided I was going to be a flight attendant. So that's currently what I started doing with Spirit. So I had been going back and forth doing like FAA. First you have to get like a study guide. I know you probably like, oh, you have your doctorate degree, you want to be a flight attendant, you know, I just like to travel. But my goal is to like teach online too and do the flight attendant so I could do both. Sure. So I've been looking over my books with Spirit and like things like that so that I could go to training. So I was supposed to go to training. We get like a training date February, March, April. So in the meantime, I was just doing like subbing at the early college. That's why I told you early college, picking up sub shifts and stuff like that. Okay, so you're more of a substitute. Well, I was just a fifth grade teacher at French, but it has gotten so difficult in the elementary schools. I don't want to do it anymore. Okay. Yeah, so it's kind of like in between. I just finished working with them and yeah. Yeah, I'm sure kids nowadays are a handful, right? It's hard because I did special ed for so long, but that's what my doctorate's in. And then you're like, oh, like you try to help so many people, and it's just hard. All right. So you're gonna do flight attendant with Spirit? Well, have you been picked up by them yet? Well, I got an offer letter from Spirit, I just got one yesterday from SkyWest. Oh, okay. And the reason I like SkyWest is because they have a domicile in Colorado Springs and in Denver, so you can actually like work there, and I could do both at the college. So I was gonna, I thought it was vibrate. I was gonna do like Psych Seek, and like I'm sure I wouldn't have a problem because I just finished this past year.
So I was going to just do them both. And then, so I hadn't decided, but now that Skywest just had offered it, I was like, that would be perfect because it was just like centrally located, you know.
Right.
But you could come home all the time.
Yeah.
So that was a big problem that we had, is because I was going to take the Spirit job and then I wouldn't be based anywhere. They don't have a base anywhere in our area. So like I would have had to be in Las Vegas.
Oh, wow.
So I would never get to see anybody at home. You like stay in these crash pads. Are you familiar with it?
We were on vacation with some people who, the wife used to be a nurse, and she actually transitioned into being a flight attendant.
Right.
She was telling us all about it, actually.
Right. Yeah. So
It's scary. Like,
pretty
so
good.
familiar.
I did start getting scared about it being in Vegas, and I was like, man, I'll never get to see everybody at home. And like, I mean, I love the travel part. So then I was stuck with traveling, but being alone, or traveling with everybody else, but maybe not as much here. So, but anyway, that was in a nutshell. I was kind of, and I'm still evaluating. Is it okay if I just stop that? Because it's like,
that's fine.
Drives me crazy. But yeah, look at, so I was in like a self evaluation type thing, trying to figure out, you know, transitioning from education and never having like another career. And then like worrying about how people would look at you like, oh, you have a doctorate degree and you're a flight attendant, you know, you guys like don't make money.
Right.
You know, so
My niece is actually a flight attendant. So for Southwest.
They said that's the best one, and whenever they have openings, it shuts the website down.
Oh,
that's what I heard.
That's pretty awesome. I didn't know about that.
And apparently it's really hard to get into because they're supposed to like handle emergencies in the air. So
yeah, and like the training is so, you think people just think we will serve people, but the training is so,
I heard it's very intense.
Yeah, they like do ditching exercises. They kick people out every day. If you're late for class for 1 minute, kick you out.
Oh wow.
And
that's good. We need standards like that whenever
so like, and let me just tell you this in case it comes up like somewhere, but Spirit flew me out to do the December 20-something training, right? Problem is, I didn't have anybody to watch Harley. And Albert was working night shifts. And so it's always hard because it's always on me to find babysitters for everybody, all the kids. It's always on me. So I get out there and he was supposed to help. I know she's 17. We let her stay by herself, whatever. But through the night, because he was working 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., that kind of scared me.
Yeah.
So like she just joined the Air Force. So like I know she's gonna have to learn how to like shoot a gun, protection, but you know, like she's not ready yet. Mature, like she's very mature, but she's not ready. So I came back, you know, and I was like talking to them. I just told them I was like, my daughter's at home, whatever, and they're like, we can move you to the next class. Like I think it was February, whatever. So anyway, so just in case you're like, oh, I thought you were, but I did fly out. They flew you out or whatever. And I came back because I was panicking about her, the dogs, everybody, and take care of. So
she's your baby, right?
Yeah.
So, why don't we talk a little bit about what's going on? So I understand. So initially you didn't tell me some things because Albert was there. And when we say Albert, we're talking about Eugene.
He doesn't like Eugene because his dad is Eugene and he was a child molester.
Okay.
So like he like raped his sister. So he freaks out about the word, like if he hears Eugene, but I said maybe that might help you. If you don't have to call him Eugene, it probably would be.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what I want you to do is take me through Sunday into Monday.
Okay.
And be as detailed as possible as to what you were doing, who was there, where you were at, how long you spent, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. Because the more detail I have, it might spark something for me.
Is it okay if I take my notes out? Because like I wrote down all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I was like, I tried to write down anything he might like say, and just in case, because I have like notes from different things or whatever. So we already talked about the beginning things. I figured you reading that. So my paper is that we're at the same story that we started with, but then you want me to start with Sunday, which was the day that we went hiking, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we went hiking at Garden of the Gods. We actually, did you see the picture from Garden of Gods?
I didn't.
Okay, so we have pictures where we went to Garden of Gods. We were going to take the dog for a walk, but then my daughter got called in to work because she works at Massage City.
Okay.
So we were like, okay, we're going to go hiking. We crazy thing is like, it's always like, you got one kid likes to hike a lot, the other one don't. So spent the whole time like, come on, let's go. We got to burn calories. Excuse me, all those type of things. Gannon, he started having a stomach problem and he pooped in his pants. So it kind of cut our hike a little bit short, but I was like, it's okay. It was kind of cold. I say cold for me, but I'm used to like 80-degree weather. So it was kind of getting cold. So we decided to go home.
Okay.
So we go home. I don't really remember what we did the rest of the day. It was probably just like random things around the house. I feel like we went to dinner. Oh no, we didn't get dinner because he wanted to take a bath. So he came in and that's when he asked me about the whole bath ball.
Okay.
And he had pooped in his pants, so I thought he wanted to like take a shower. So I gave him a bath bomb.
Okay.
So going through the night, we were just doing like a regular random. I feel like I don't know who I should be talking to, but
You can talk to both of
yeah,
us.
we used to be doing like random things around the house. It's Sunday, no football on, I mean, I don't know like specific every little detail we did, but just a normal everyday situation, other than he was in a lot of pain because he gets really bad. Is it okay if I like show you like graphic, like not graphic, but like with my hand motions?
Yeah, that's fine.
He'll get where he has to like poop, and like I swear they're like that big. It might take like 2 to 3 weeks. He has like a GI problem, so because he takes Vyvanse, so like he had went the whole time without Vyvanse. So whenever that happens, sometimes it'll get where his stomach like wants to work, but then like can't. So he spends a lot of time in the bathroom, like kind of like hurting and things like that.
Okay.
All right. So then at this point, the dog, we have 2 new little Frenchie, what is he? English. Well, they're really like,
French and English bulldog.
yeah, they are. They're really kind of like the Sadie's the French bulldog. She's kind of like high maintenance. But the kids always help out a lot with them, but Ganna wasn't feeling too well. And the dogs, they all, how they like know someone's not feeling well. So they were all laying down there and it was gassy, like very, very, they're back for that, very, very gassy or whatever. And, life goes on. But so Gannon had started a candle. Again, normal day. He's very like responsible in terms of like, if you give him something and say, do this, and like a list to prepare, it's fine. So we let him, do things like that. Like Albert lets him like use the box cutter to cut the boxes down, and like teaching things to be like a independent, growing up adolescent. So I didn't see a problem with him, light a candle, whatever.
Okay.
Well, I don't remember the exact time. I'd have to look at when the fire thing went off. I was tired. Albert had left because we spent the whole night up prior with Saturday because he was going to train in Oklahoma. So we stayed up most of the night.
Okay.
Y'all, I hate to do this, but I have to pause for commentary. So she had an alarm system, ADT. If the smoke detectors actually had gone off, wouldn't ADT have a record of that? And does anybody know if the smoke detectors going off can be verified? Also, this Gannon having an accident story. And I'm sorry, Gannon, that I have to discuss this because it's private. And I do believe Al when he says that you were very self-conscious about that. So please pardon me. But do we think that could be the catalyst? Because the detective did mention that Letecia sprinkles in a kernel of truth for every 50, 1,100 lies.
Just everybody was going to miss each other, wouldn't see each other for a while, whatever. So I was kind of like, tired. I had dozed off for a little bit. And Lena asked me, could she stay up and still watch the rest of her iPad or whatever. Usually I'm always like, no, strict, like, hey, no, you can, whatever. But I did feel kind of bad because it was just her birthday. And at the same time being her birthday, we had a lot of stuff going on.
Right.
So we made it about her, but like I was trying to give her a little bit extra because not everybody got to make it there. And we went all out for Gannon's birthday. Like we took him to a Rockies game. We took friends with him. I mean, like popcorn, hot dogs, but we didn't do that with her. But in her defense, we bought her a Switch. So it was kind of like different, but she didn't understand that. So I let her stay up longer than she's supposed to. As like, come not necessarily bribery, but you know. So stayed up a little bit later. And so she was still she's a very hard sleeper and she's hard to like pick up, move if she falls asleep, whatever. But I could tell she was just barely asleep when I went in there. So it starts beeping. It's like a beep, 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 beep. And I thought that someone was coming in the house. So I look and don't see anyone at any doors or hear anything. So I was like, I thought it was just a sensor. So I hit in our 2564, which is our alarm code, but it didn't go off. And I was like, what's wrong with this thing? So I walked through Lena's room, which the alarm is in her room, and I walked back like through the top part of the house. And you've been in the house, so you know the top part of the house.
I haven't been in.
Okay, so there's the upper level and then there's the below basement. So I like walk back and forth or whatever. I didn't see anything going on. Then it started saying fire, 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 fire. Like it kept saying fire.
Oh, wow.
So and I thought it was you know how like so there's like sensors for your fire alarm and then there's sensors for your like alarm.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just going to everything trying to like ban it while it was going off because I was thinking kitchen, fire, nothing's wrong, whatever. So I was putting like towels over some of the sensors because I thought that was like monitoring the fire thing, whatever. And then I realized it kept going and going. So then I see smoke coming up from the downstairs. So I run downstairs and my idea of a big fire is anything that I see on fire pretty much and there's smoke, you know, that's just because I grew up in the country. So, you know, like I remember bonfires and like things like that, you know. So there was smoke coming up through the basement. So the basement so if you walk down the basement, there's a sofa and stuff over here. It was coming up through the basement. So I like run back up the stairs, go grab Lane, and luckily, my point telling you about her being not a rough sleeper, she woke right up. So she woke back up and I like almost like grabbed her and I was like, get up, get up, get up, get up. I said, I gave her the keys. I said, can you go? I don't remember the exact order, but I said something along the lines of, can you go take the dog to Daddy's truck and sit there and wait?
Right.
So I don't remember the order of how we all ran out the house, but I know that at that point I did. She ran out, and I can't remember if I ran out to make sure they got the truck or if she ran out by herself. I don't remember that part, but I do know that I know that they had gotten in the truck. I came back inside, run back downstairs, and that's when I was trying to get Gannon because I couldn't get it. I didn't know how to get everybody at once. So my main thing was to get the front people out, you know, and then go. So then I ran back downstairs to get Gannon. And then the fire was on the floor over here, then on the sofa. So I'm pretending this is the sofa and this is our floor. So it was right here and right here. And I saw the candle that was over here. So there was covers everywhere because the kids always get on about, they leave a lot of covers laying around all the time. I mean, there's like 10 clothes and LOLs and blankets and all this. So they were all right here. So I take a whole bunch of them and I go and like basically smash down on the sofa and the fire to put it out. So I got a burn and I was like, get up again and started running at that point because it wakes him up. He's alert. He's realizing that the covers and everything's on fire, the carpet's on fire, and we all go outside. So we get in Albert's truck and we drive. And I drove off in panic because I saw that I put the fire out. So I knew that there was no, you know, like nothing wrong, like it wasn't gonna keep going. I drove off in panic because I just like, oh my gosh, what do I do now? Like we burnt the carpet, you know, we done this and this. Deanna's upset, freaking out because he's scared he's gonna get in trouble and da 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 da. So you know, like the whole talk was going on. So we drove maybe around the block a little bit and came right back. So we came back in and like developed a plan for the next day to figure out. Honestly, we were gonna fix the carpet and try to like not anything. And the reason for that is because like Albert freaks out about every little thing. If the kids do something and I'm on like me, and he'll be like, you didn't do this, you weren't being a good mom, you weren't doing this, you weren't doing that. And so we both kind of were like a little like worried about it. And he gets very like crazy, like if something goes wrong. So that was the plan. Go to sleep, rest. He was going to stay out of school. We were going to get the carpet fixed and then go from there, plus some hurting. So Lena didn't want to sleep in her room. You know, everybody was still kind of like frazzled. And I think Lena slept with me or on the sofa. I brought the dogs up. And again, he wanted to go in his room at that point because he was already sleeping on the sofa. So that's where Sunday like pretty much kind of like stopped and everybody went to bed and yada, yada, yada. And I think I sent Albert messages because he was sleeping, was on a different time zone, and he didn't see him that night.
Okay.
And I didn't feel that no one was in harm. Make sure I say that because the fire was not going. Now, I know that Gannon had like black marks all on his shirt, like smoke marks. But he had on a long sleeve shirt and a short sleeve shirt because sometimes he has on whatever. He had on a short sleeve shirt with a long sleeve shirt. So I didn't see him in any kind of like nothing other than the little burns that we had. I didn't see.
Where did you see
anything
burns
to
on
that.
Gannon?
All right, so with Gannon, I just saw that. Okay, so like on the top, like right here, so like say the shirts are here, so like right here there was a burn, and the reason for that was I think whenever like he was trying to come up, it kind of burned him a little bit. I'm not gonna make an assumption. I don't really know. And as far as that, I didn't see anything else. Like I didn't know any like other differences or anything like that. All I saw was that. I said, "You okay?" He ran out the house. He was firing out the house. Everything was normal. Yada yada yada. Now I'm gonna let you know in a little bit why he was bleeding. But
Okay.
at that point, when you get to the Monday morning thing, I'll let you know about that.
Describe the flames for me. How tall are these flames? Is it
Bruh. This is all I have to say. I just,
Don't.
like smoldering on the carpet, sort of kind of creeping across like a grass fire, or is it like coming up, working its way up the couch? Like how is it?
Really don't know. I know that it was like here, centralized on the floor, but like I could see, I think the smoke might have like kind of intimidated me more because I spent the whole night coughing. So I think that kind of intimidated me so much because the visibility was starting to be a little bit, like as if I had walked into a small little fire and I was just afraid that it was gonna, because like upholstery for the couch, that was my biggest concern, was the upholstery for the couch. So
Okay.
so I would say, it was like maybe like in this area, like here. It wasn't like here.
So the flames were, 2,
your
3
biggest
feet
concern
high,
with
you
a
think?
fire is the
How much light
upholstery
did
on
you
the
see coming
couch,
off of
not
it
the
through the smoke?
human beings or the
No.
dogs in the
Okay, and that's
house.
fine if you don't know.
I'm not like a professional and I was in the moment of freaking out to like give you an accurate answer
Sure.
because I don't want to tell you what's here and it might have been here. I don't want to tell you this, and it's, I don't know.
This is all based off of your memory to the best of your ability.
Right.
And that's all it is.
I
Okay.
do know that I saw covers coming up on fire.
What was what covers were coming up on fire?
Like he had a cover on because he was sleeping on the sofa.
What
Sitting on
was
the
he
sofa.
covered with?
What do you mean?
What kind of blanket? You had mentioned there was LOLs, there's quilts.
Which color?
What blanket was he using?
Oh, I'm not sure. There was a couple that were there. There was a black. They were all. I put them all back in that bin that was sitting there. Did you? He said you didn't.
I haven't been in
Okay, so there was black. It was like a little furry. There was watermelon ones. I don't remember specifically which one he had, but I know that there was blankets in the area because he
According
always
to
leaves
the
blankets around. It was a mermaid
math,
went around.
there wasn't
The whole
enough
operation of when I grabbed them and put it out, I grabbed them all and done it. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Were any of them like damaged whenever that happened?
Oh yeah, they all. I left them all there when I showed them that night that like they were damaged or whatever.
Okay. Well, I haven't been in the house either.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm speaking to you like you.
Yeah, no, I didn't go into the house either, so I was like trying to make sure that we're.
Yeah.
So then Gannon decides that he doesn't want to go to school because of his tummy issues or because he's going to help you with the carpet. What is?
It was kind of a combination of both.
Okay, and who excused him from school?
But I had texted Albert and said, could he not go to school for his stomach?
Okay.
Because he was hurting with his stomach, but also the whole plan was that we were going to figure it out. Like,
So who actually contacted the school to excuse him?
it wasn't me. I didn't. I don't know.
Okay.
Did someone contact? Because I didn't.
I would assume that somebody would contact the school, or you probably would get like a phone call. I know with my kids' school, if they're not there by 8:15, the office.
Then they would call Albert, not me, because he would have the like the automated system where he's like, your child's missing. Your child is missing from school today, whatever.
Okay. So that's Sunday, and you're saying a lot of we and that kind of thing. So you mentioned earlier that Harley had gone to work. She got called into massage envy.
I want to hear this part because I know that they're gonna. I think she's gonna ask about who all was in the car when they fled the house that was on the basement that was on fire, whatever. And I had something else to say about that, but now I have totally forgotten. Okay.
So who hiked?
It's originally going to be all of us. Harley, me, again, and Lena. And then Harley got called in. She switched shifts with someone, but then that person, like, I guess the policy is if that person agrees to take your shift, but then don't come, you still have to come or something. I don't know. But, so she just was like, I have to go. She's only gonna be working there like a few more weeks or whatever. So I told her, I was like, don't burn any bridges. I know it sounds crazy that you have to do that, but you got to go in. So she went into work on Sunday.
Okay. So it ended up being you, Gannon and Lena that went hiking.
Right.
Okay. And so then let's go through Monday. Yep.
So we wake up on Monday. Normal. How we wake up.
So, which part, Marshall? Why is that important? I'm a semi newbie to the. Okay, I think you're talking about the candle and the burns. So I think that the reason that it's important is because in all of the various stories that Letecia has told, every single story starts out with this candle incident. So there is something significant about the candle. But what we cannot figure out is what the significance is, because when the medical examiner testified, the order of the wounds, meaning which occurred first to last, all of us were sort of under the impression that the blunt force trauma to the head came first, but the ME said no. What actually came first, and she believes, according to the autopsy, were the 18 sharp force wounds. What she couldn't determine is whether or which came first, the blunt force trauma to the head or the GSW. And so, and then there is a video Letecia made. Okay. You can't really see Gannon and you can't see her, but you can hear. And in that video, she is gaslighting Gannon and saying, you promised me you didn't do it on purpose. You pinky promise. And he's like, no. And it's so sad. And he's moaning. He sounds like he's confused, scared, and in pain. That's what he sounds like to me. And then she records this and you can hear, she tries to cut him off, but he says, what about, I'm just worried about my burns. And she's like, like that. She sort of cuts him off and she kind of talks over him. You almost don't hear it, but everybody, of course, was, keenly listening to this video that she made. So that's why it's important, because we are trying to figure out how this happened, why that candle is significant, because I know it is, I just can't figure out how.
Like everybody gets up, whatever. And stays in bed. He already knows that we are going out and about today. That was the plan. I walked Lena out, because usually Gannon walks her outside.
Okay, I remembered what I was going to say. So she says that the plan, this all happened Sunday night. The candle situation happened Sunday night. She says that the plan for Monday was that Gannon was going to stay home because he had tummy troubles, and they were going to fix the carpet. Yet literally 0 of all the errands they ran that day had anything to do with fixing the carpet.
So I walked Lena out to the front door and around to make sure I seen her around the corner to get to the bus stop, and she did.
Okay.
I come back inside. I don't remember if I laid down a little bit. I probably played on my phone for a little bit, wasted a little bit, because she goes outside like 6:50, 6:55, still early, take the dogs out. things like that. Well, I go down, start talking to Gannon about, hey, like, this is the plan, like, go downstairs, the basement, whatever. I say basement, but as in, like, his room is down, it's a furnace basement. And I realized that Gannon, he actually had, like, marks, like, on his arm, and they were actually, like, peeling at that point. And I didn't,
Thank you,
I did
Marshall
not
Path.
realize that
Welcome
they
to
had,
members.
I don't know
Glad
if,
to
like,
have you.
they start, like, because burns are sitting there, I don't know if they started, like, peeling, like, overnight, or, like, whatever. And he has, like, really bad anxieties. So whenever things are peely or like things like that, he bites his own nails a lot anyway. Like anything that's like loose and things like that, he bites them. So I don't know if like as I guess as burns, like burns a little bit. And when I do this, I don't mean like I'm giving you a location. I'm just saying like as in burns like on your skin. I guess when like like it's a little bit stretchy or whatever. So like on your arm, it kind of gets a little stretchy and peeling. So then I was like freaked out because I was like I didn't know that his arms were like that. So I'm like crying because. And this is where I have to start telling you, like, I'm like very, like, I was scared because my thought process was Albert is going to kill me. Like, because I made a mistake as a parent and forgot to, like, really check him down. And he really got a little bit more burns than he should. So I was freaking out. Because, like, and Gannon, like, it's a, and, like, he had on his arm, and as it was peeling, I should have called. Where did they have that at? I should have called the hospital and just asked, I don't know enough about burns, but I should have called the hospital and just asked, like, I made a mistake. I did. I swear to y'all, I didn't know they were that bad. I did it all. So I feel horrible. So here I am. I know it's not, about me, but as a person, I was feeling horrible that I didn't call Albert to say, they're like this. So I told him, I said, okay, listen.
Let me tell you this. I don't believe that any of the things that she said have actually happened in this portion right here. But I will tell you this. I do think that her fear for Al finding out what she did, and I mean bigger picture what she did, not what she's sitting here talking about, not that specific candle incident. I do think she's telling the truth there. That's the only part that I think she's telling the truth. All right, here we go.
This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna put some like aloe on your arms, and things like that. And I was like, it's gonna be okay. We're gonna fix it. We're gonna, and all I could think about was we're gonna fix it. And I don't know in my mind how I was gonna fix it. As far as he wasn't in pain. He wasn't saying or anything like that. He's saying it like like it was like a boil. Am I saying the right word? Boil, like blister. Like it was fluid in a blister, So there's blood, and then and I had when I say blood, let me explain. I don't mean like dripping out, pouring everywhere blood. So let me not like give you that thought process because sometimes when I say flames, to me I'm like this is a big flame, There was blood. So I was just so like freaked out. So I said, we'll just clean it up. Don't worry about it. We'll figure it out. Where's the blood at? So the blood was on his arms, on his sheet that he had, which we washed the sheet. So it was on his sheet. It was on his arms, and he had some on like his arms. I guess for like sleeping or whatever. He had some on the wall. So we cleaned up everything. I put like garnish am I saying that garnish like the wrap thing, but a wrap thing. I was like, we'll check it with the aloe and see if it gets better. Because my next thing was I'm gonna assess the situation in so many hours, and if it looks because I did look online and it said like if it turns a yellow color that it could be infected or whatever. And I was like, that was gonna be my next step. So I don't want you to think that I was like neglecting the fact that.
So you realize that he's got a burn. You do some treatment that you think is appropriate at the time, and then you tell yourself, I'm going to do this follow up. Right. Okay. So then what happens after you take care again and make sure he's okay?
Obviously, I'm placed in the house, and I know there's two things I got to fix. And when I tell you that Albert will freak out over things, I just want you to know that. So Emma, I want you to take a picture in my mind of how I'm like afraid to be like, okay, I got to fix these situations, and I need to fix them fast with carpet and things like that. Okay. So number one, I was like, I need to fix the carpet, and number two, I need to figure out, assess, like I said, does Gannon need to go get like some burn cream or whatever? So I said, let's get.
This is probably as good a time as I need to pause it and then pick back up after one.
Okay, I was wondering when we get there. Okay. A minute.
All right, you guys. So, given the fact that, okay, so local time, it is 11:51. Okay. So, and now they're going to lunch. And this is a 4-hour interrogation. I think they're going to play the entire 4 hours. And if I'm not mistaken, I think we've only heard about 30 minutes of the interrogation. And because he said that the interrogation was, I paid very close attention to this, and I'm almost positive what the prosecutor said was that the interrogation was 4 hours and not the total length of the video, because he skipped forward a little bit. But they are going to play the whole video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end it now for lunch, because let's be honest, hold on a second. Okay, so the judge just said that they still have another 3 hours and 20 minutes to go on the interrogation. So they're going to start doing it after lunch, right? And then they're going to take another break. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end the live now. I've got some stuff I've got to do, and I will see you guys all over at Alex Erickson. I can't even talk. Alex Erickson, Allie's channel. To do the recap from the trial tonight. And so this is going to be a long interrogation, and I've already made a ton of notes so far. So I am, I cannot wait to hear the rest of this, because if you notice what I noticed in these first few minutes of this interrogation is that she is already explaining away potential evidence that they might find. Like, there was blood on the wall, we cleaned it up. There was blood on the sheets, we cleaned it up. There was blood on his clothes, on his pillowcase, we cleaned it up. You see, there's blood on the carpet, we cleaned it up. So she's already giving an explanation for evidence that they might find, because she knows that they are going to do, if they don't buy her story. She had to have considered this in the back of her mind, because I can't imagine anybody, anyway, because even serial killers think about potentially being caught. They entertain it, they think about it, and they try to find ways to avoid it. Okay. So she certainly had to, on some level, entertain that she would get caught. Okay. And so she is already attempting to explain away evidence that she knows that they are going to find. Or, if they start suspecting her and they start searching the home, they're going to find it, right? So there's that. She's already just has an absolutely ridiculous story to tell, and way too many details, talking about, she's going to explain about the blood when I get to Monday. It's too dadgum much. All right. So thank you guys for being here. Thank you for welcome to membership. What is wrong with me? I can't even talk. Thank you for joining members. Why can I not remember? Marshall Dove, sorry. My brain is done from listening to Letecia and her baloney. Thank you for joining membership, Marshall Dove. You guys have a very great, fantastic rest of your Wednesday, and we will all reconvene over at Alex Erickson's channel tonight. So be sure that you are subscribed and that you have the notifications set to all, so you get notified when she goes live. You can keep an eye on my channel as well, because I will share the live over here. So there you guys go. Yeah, Letecia has got my brain discombobulated. My amygdala is all a Twitter, and can't with her. All right. So I'll see you guys later. Have a great rest of your day. Bye. Yes, thank you, Nadine for sharing that. Appreciate it. For sharing Allie's link. All right, bye for reals.